The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
It's the day after one of the most significant days in recent Jets history. Where do the Jets go from here? More reaction on the trades of Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. Nick Shine will join us. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Oh my Lord. Sauce tweeted New York, it's been real. They just signed him to an extension. What?
How much worse can it get for Aaron Glenn's Jets team? Can he salvage this season and give us something to be excited about? Every step of the journey, the Jake Asman Show will have you covered, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now. Here we go, Jet fans. What a day it was yesterday. Nearly 5 hours reacting to the Sauce Gardner trade. And then in the middle of reacting, boom, Quinnen Williams also dealt one of the most significant days in Jet history. The rebuild is without a doubt officially underway. And now the Jets' pursuit for a quarterback, the Jets' pursuit for actually turning things around will really get underway. We say hello to our guy, Nick Shine, who joins us in his weekly Wednesday spot. What a day, Nick. And we really have just begun, because you now look at what the next 2 years looks like for the New York Jets. They got a haul yesterday. Whether you agree or disagreed with the approach, what you can't dispute is the job Darren Muji did, getting as much value as humanly possible for both Sauce and Quinnen. And now you look at what the Jets are clearly doing over the next few seasons here. This is a rebuild that is without a doubt underway.
Yeah, and you know, it's sad to see those guys go. You know, they've been great representatives of the team. You know, they've been great to the fans. They've been role models on and off the field. But wins matter. And if you're not winning and you're the previous regime's guys, you got to bring in your guys. And I know some fans might not like it. You know, one of he's on with Don and Peter. Who's the third guy there?
Alan Hahn.
Alan. He said that draft picks are the currency of hope.
They are.
And I thought, yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's poetic that, you know, for those who want to be hopeful, draft picks give you that hope down the road. Now, you got to hit on them. You know, we remember the excitement of 2022 when we had that draft class. You know, a good draft class can revitalize an organization and revitalize a fan base and hopefully lead to wins. You know, we've seen you can have a top wide receiver. You can have an all-pro corner. You can have an all-pro defensive tackle. You can have an all-pro linebacker. If you don't have the quarterback, none of it matters. You're not going to be a consistent winner in this league without the quarterback. So I think we should take 6 of the 8 picks in the first 2 rounds on quarterbacks, Jake, and just stockpile quarterbacks and have one of the greatest competitions of all time, baby. Let's go.
Look, here's where we're at, right? Like the moves the Jets made yesterday. I think if you want to just talk about like Muji's ability to extract value, he did a phenomenal job in maximizing the return on these players. Like there were Jet fans who would suggest trading Sauce Gardner, and we never took it seriously because they just extended him, and you just don't see that happen. But then it turns out the way they structured Sauce's contract, it did give them the flexibility to do something like this, because the Jets were able to work Sauce's signing bonus to make it possible to make this type of deal. And the dead cap hit over the next few years for Sauce is minimum. And they have a ton of cap space, obviously, going forward. Quinnen, to me, it made sense if you can get a first. Well, they did even better than that. They got a second and a first. So I think if you want to give Darren Muji credit, you should, from the standpoint of the Jets actually getting maximum value. I think now what we need to see is, are they the right people to hit on the picks? And then even further than that, actually coach up, you know, the players they select. But everything the Jets do now going forward, the focus is no longer on 2025, despite what Darren Mucci wants to say yesterday, or what Glenn will probably say today when he speaks in the 12 o'clock hour. Everything is now all about the offseason and providing the best possible infrastructure you can for a young quarterback that they're going to draft this year. Like, the Jets are in a spot where they are clearly announcing to the NFL world, we're going to get our quarterback, and they have the ammunition to wheel and deal to get that guy. They have the ammunition to surround that quarterback with additional weapons. They already have in place an offensive line with some legit star potential on it, a legit number one wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, who rightfully was untouchable in any trade talk yesterday. So, look, if you want to be optimistic as a Jet fan, they could pick the right player and get out of this mess. If you want to be skeptical, that is your right, because we've seen the Jets 5 years ago enter into this exact stage where they had all these picks. They actually hit on some of these picks, like a Sauce Gardner, but because they never found the quarterback, never had the right head coach, we're right back to the rebuilding stage. And it just stinks, because to me, it's bittersweet. I love the returns they got for Quinnen and Sauce, but it's bittersweet we never got to experience legitimate winning with those guys, because it's no fault of their own. They were outstanding players. We're hoping the guys they now draft are as good as Quinnen and Sauce Gardner were as Jets.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance.
Nope.
Good quarterback play can make everyone else around them better. And we've had guys who play well despite the quarterback, So bringing in a quarterback with the line, like you said, with a young tight end like Taylor, with Garrett Wilson, and I think a lot of us expect another first-round wide receiver to get added, if not an early two, plus a free agent. I think you're going to see an overhaul of this wide receiver core next year. You're going to give the rookie quarterback every tool he needs to succeed. I like Angstrand. I like what we've seen. I don't think we've been fully able to see what his scheme is because of Justin Fields at quarterback. So, I'm excited that we get to keep Angstrand. I know a lot of people aren't excited on Glenn. I get that. He hasn't given you reason to. But for me, I didn't want to lose Angstrand after 1 year. I want to see what this guy can do with the fully loaded offense. You've got to be able to score points in this league. And we don't do that enough. We haven't had the quarterback to do that. And even in times where we did have a top 5 defense, we still only got 7 wins. You got to be able to score. You got to be able to put up points. You got to be able to answer the call time and time again with a touchdown drive. So there's the makings of something to be happy about down the road. And, for Jets fans, we don't enjoy the games, right? We say, Jake, what's the best part of Sundays? The tailgate, hanging out with the friends, right? We hope now, when we have the currency of hope, draft picks, that this can be the moment that changes the franchise around. This can be where you go get another defensive end, a defensive tackle, a safety, a linebacker. Your cornerback room is set now with the elevation of AZ Thomas, Stevens, and Brownlee. They got their guys to play their scheme on the back end. These are all handpicked. That room is okay. Then you need an interior offensive lineman, a wide receiver, another tight end, a running back. Those are 8 picks right there that, can add to a young quarterback and make this team good. Are they going to hit on all of them? Probably not. But if you hit on 6 of 8 in the first 2 rounds, and then I'm not even adding the back end of the draft, the 3s and beyond, plus $117 million now available in free agency, the Jets should be able to get whoever they want. They should not get outbid with the amount of money that they have. And now that you get rid of Sauce's money down the road and Quinnen's, you don't have any big contracts tied up. Of course, you might have to pay Tittman, in this offseason, because they'll be going into year 4. But I don't expect that to break the bank. The Jets can be major players and build the identity that Muji and Glenn want.
Well, here's the reality, though, right? We could say all that. They need a quarterback, or none of this matters. They built the right identity for Saleh and Douglas. They had a good football team outside of the most important position, quarterback. Like, the reason why the previous regime failed is not because it didn't work with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was a Hail Mary move after you missed on Zach Wilson. And they didn't just miss on Zach Wilson. Like, he was a historically bad pick. What we need the Jets to do is to not do that, but whoever they take, give that player a legitimate chance. And I actually think, if you want to be, optimistic Jet fans, whoever they take is stepping into an offensive line that is way better than the previous 2 top 3 quarterback selections the Jets used in the draft are stepping into. Sam Darnold didn't have a Garrett Wilson to throw the ball to. Zach Wilson's rookie year, go look at the talent on that team, right? The big concern I have, and I will continue to have this concern, because as much as I want to, root for him as a former Jet, the head coach scares me. And what happened yesterday now gives this regime, at the bare minimum, 2 more seasons, if not a 3rd season in 2027. And what I mean by that is this. They get all of this year no matter what. We were having the one and done talks. Now, if they finish 1-16, doesn't matter. They're not going to fire Aaron Glenn. He's here. They're going to get all of 2026 because it's year 1 with the rookie quarterback they're going to be selecting. And even if the Jets win 4 or 5 games next season, which is likely unless they get lucky with who they pick at the top of the draft, and that guy's awesome, like what C.J. Stroud did a few years ago, or what we saw last year Jaden Daniels do, then you're in a spot where in year 3, they're going to get that year 2 because, well, they have 3 first-round picks in the 2027 draft they're going to be able to say they could use for that year's team. So it really comes down to the head coach and if he can improve, because now they have ammunition, but they also bought themselves a future to use some of this over the next couple of years. So we have to hope that Aaron Glenn improves, because I'd be just flabbergasted if he's not the Jet head coach, at least going into 2027 at the bare minimum.
I have a different approach with this. I think yesterday unties Muji and Glenn together. I think Muji did a fantastic job of acquiring the draft picks. I love the draft class from last year. I think it's one of the deeper, better draft classes the Jets have had. I think yesterday unties them. Now, if Glenn shows he can't make good decisions in game, if he continues to be bitter with the media, I could see the Jets possibly moving on from Glenn. I don't think this automatically ties Glenn to the future. I think Glenn has to improve on game day. I think he has to improve with his media management and in being the face of the team. You can't be bitter and barking at the media when you have 1 win. You got to be a little more humble. And
Yeah, but he was
develop.
emboldened by the moves yesterday now, so I don't think it matters. Like,
I don't think
maybe you're right.
I think
Maybe
Muji is.
he can survive, but Aaron Glenn is the one who's giving the sign-off on these deals. Where Muji gets credit is he's the one making the calls to the other teams and negotiating the value. Glenn can simply say, hey, I think we need to blow it up. Let's get capital. But he might not be the one able to get 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. So give Darren Muji credit there. I think he did a phenomenal job extracting value yesterday. But I still think they're attached together, Nick. I mean, let's not forget the way the Jet organization is structured. Aaron Glenn is the final decision maker. Woody Johnson said Muji's Glenn's sidekick. It's all you need to know. When Glenn has talked about personnel, he has said I, as if he's the deciding decision maker there, right? So I think Muji did a really good job yesterday, but ultimately, like, whoever they select at quarterback, Aaron Glenn is going to have the final say if he wants that player or not. So this is still all on Aaron Glenn at the end of the day.
Yes. And if Glenn, like I say, continues to be horrible with game management, if he's making decisions that are costing you victories, if it shows that the job he's not good enough for it, you can move on from him and still maintain Muji. I'm not rooting for that, but I believe that there is a path to Muji remaining, because I like what he did, the trades he's made with Brownlee, with Briggs, with Phillips, with the draft pick haul that he's got. I mean, at the draft class that he had, I could see Muji being retained and Glenn being let go if the coaching doesn't improve.
Got a long way to go from that.
Yeah.
Hopefully the coaching does improve.
Agree.
Jets and the Browns on Sunday were presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jets were a 1.5-point favorite before the New York Jets traded Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. Now the Jets are a 2.5-point underdog against Dylan Gabriel and the Cleveland Browns. If you want to bet on that game or any game in the NFL, do it with our presenting sponsor, FanDuel Sportsbook. It will be interesting to see how the Jets look over these next 9 games. The wins no longer matter. We all seemingly understand that. But what you want to see, I believe, is a team still fighting for their coach. I think what you want to see is the younger players on this team to continue to play well, because they're going to be a part of this future. Like, you want to see Membu and Olu look good because they're going to be protecting a rookie quarterback next year. And I'm also curious to see, what they could get out of a guy in A.D. Mitchell, who they acquired yesterday. Can John Mechie give you something? So play the young guys. If I ever have to see Alan Lazard play another snap, That's a bad job by Aaron Glenn. Like, now that you made these moves and you have clearly signaled to your team and the fan base, it's all about 2026 and beyond, play all your young guys and let's see. Let's see the development of some of these guys. Can you find some playable, back end of the roster wide receivers now after these trades that you made? Can Arian Smith get on the field and make plays in his development? Can we see a lot more Mason Taylor and Isaiah Davis doing their thing, right? Like, I want to see this team go out there and still fight and not just get blown out every week, because I understand Jet fans are pumped about the return of these picks. Once again, draft picks equal hope. So I get it. And the returns are excellent for the players they traded. But the reason why we're in this spot in the first place is because of how awful this team was coached and how everything was mismanaged going into this year. So I would like to end the year feeling a lot better about some of the younger players that are going to be here on this team. So there's still that to look for down the stretch of the season. There's still 9 games to go here.
Yeah. The secondary room is big for me, right? Because now that you moved on from Sauce, A.Z. Thomas's development is a key storyline that I want to watch for the rest of the season. Brownlee in the nickel. Does Stevens remain the top-rated or close to top-rated corners that he's been since week 4? Another big storyline that's got swept under the carpet. In the beginning of the season, fans were outraged over the amount of penalties. The last 3 games, the Jets have averaged 3.3 penalties a game. So the penalties have gotten cleaned up. The outrage was wild in the beginning of the season. We said, let's see how it plays out. And all of a sudden, they're trending in the right direction with that. They're number 1 in the NFL the last 3 weeks, along with, before the bye week, obviously. Going into this past Sunday, they were number 1, tied with the Colts for the least amount of penalties in the previous 3 games. So there's been some coaching improvement, but game day management is more where Glenn really has to improve. That's a key storyline, right? It's probably the number 1 storyline with the Jets now that you have this pass for the rest of the season. Get better on game day, coach the guys up, develop these players, guys who are stepping up into bigger roles now, see who is the guy long term and see who you have to go and draft and replace or sign free agents and replace. So now it's basically every Sunday is a tryout. Let's see who can sink and who can swim.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Ladies and gentlemen, it is raffle day. So today on the show, we're giving away 3 items: a signed Justin Fields jersey, a signed Wayne Corbett football, and a signed Nick Mangold football. If you want to enter, today is the last show you could do so. And since there's a lot of Jet fans down in the dumps, let's allow you to not only enter in this show for this upcoming raffle, but how about at the end of the show today, we give you a chance to win a signed Germaine Johnson jersey. If there's one positive from yesterday, not only did the Jets not trade Germaine Johnson, but he took the social media yesterday saying he wants to be here. He's sad to see Sauce and Quinnen go, but he's going to do everything in his power to help turn the Jets around. I want the Jets to extend Germaine this offseason, put the seal on his chest starting on Sunday, and we will give a Jet fan and Asmaniac a chance to win a signed Germaine Johnson jersey at the end of the show. If you enter for the JJ jersey, you're automatically being entered to win the Nick Mangold football, Wayne Corbett football, and Justin Fields jersey as well. So we have 4 prizes up for grabs today, but you could specifically enter for the Germaine Johnson jersey at the end of the show. Again, we're all in this together, Jet fans. Thanks to everyone who tuned into our live trade deadline stream yesterday. Over 25,000 YouTube views alone. This fan base is the best, and now we're gearing up for what is going to be just an absolute wild offseason. Once again, Jets now control the draft essentially over the next 2 years. They have a total of 5 first-round picks between 2026 and 2027. They have 2 second-round picks this year, not to mention all the cap space they have going into the offseason. So this is going to be just an absolute bonkers of an offseason, and only time will tell if they got it right, but there's certainly a lot more juice going into this offseason now. When you talk about the capital the Jets have, here's what it looks like specifically for this offseason, Nick. So right now, the Jets would pick 3, 32, 35, and 46. Pick 32 is the Colts pick. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. However, we now get to root against Daniel Jones this year and all the next year And from a Cowboys standpoint, the first round pick they got in the Quinnen deal is in 2027, but it is a first round pick that is the worst of either the Cowboys or the Packers. So the Jets, good for them. They get the benefit from whichever team is worse in 27. And the Cowboys second rounder this year, I mean, that's a top 50 pick right now. Dallas is 3-5-1. So once again, how we got here is unfortunate that we had to trade away Sauce and Quinnen, that we never won anything with those guys. But I will continue to say it. Muji did an outstanding job of extracting value because the Jets completely maximized the value on both these players.
Yeah, and we all had discussions about it, and some would say, Quinnen, we get a 2, I'll do it. Some said it's got to be a 1. Muji got both. We said a 1 plus would be great. A 1 and a 4 would be great. You got a 1 and a 2 for Quinnen. So I love the moves because we're not winning right now. When you're not winning, you don't hang on. Bill Belichick got criticized for trading Richard Seymour in his prime. And they domino affected that into multiple first round picks in a row because they maneuvered the draft and they kept having value year after year. Now, I don't expect the Jets to do what the Patriots did and go on a dynasty run, but it's better to trade a guy when you're not winning, when he still has his peak value, than to hold on too long and trade him for a 5. So I really like this. Now, Jets fans, the most important thing for us, Colts don't get a first round bye. Here's why. You want the Colts playing in wild card weekend and you want them losing because even though they're 32nd right now in mocks, teams that get eliminated in wild card weekend pick 18th to 24th. So you want the Colts playing wild card weekend and you want them getting a loss. That would move that pick up. If you lose divisional weekend, you pick from 25th to 28th. If you lose championship weekend, 29-30. If you make the Super Bowl, 31-32. So we want the Colts on wild card weekend, and we want them getting a loss. That's the most important narrative for the Jets right now in terms of this number 1 pick. Don't get the first round bye, Colts. Get knocked out wild card weekend, and that really jumps us up potentially 10 to 12 spots in the draft based on how they finish.
Yeah, I mean, we will see what they look like, but that's an all-in move they made. And I think Sauce will have a lot of success with the Colts. I mean, he's a really good player. You don't get these returns for these guys if they're not considered really good players. I will say, getting what they got for Quinnen absolutely stunned me because if you look at recent trades for defensive tackles, the best you usually do is you get a second-round pick. And I think there was a legit debate. Is trading Quinnen now for a second, is that worth it, or is it better just to wait to the offseason and see if maybe a team would give you a first in 2027 instead? So the fact that the Jets got not only a first rounder, but they also got a second rounder, just an unbelievable job because Quinnen Williams was a guy that you were going to have to redo his contract. Clearly, he was unhappy here. His production is way down. You could see it. So I don't blame him. I wish him well. And they got a big-time return for him. The Sauce trade, I mean, look, 2 first-round picks for a non-quarterback is 2 first-round picks. It's just so bittersweet we didn't win anything with these guys because, like, to no fault of their own, this team just could not win, and it had so much to do with things that are just out of their control, and it sucks. And it's bittersweet, but the Jets clearly maximize the value of these players. My criticism is if they don't end up extending Brees or using the transition tag on him, because I don't think they'll use the franchise tag at the price it's at. I think they should have traded him yesterday. And I also think they should have traded Quincy Williams because I think he's going to be unhappy now. And if you traded his brother, also trade Quincy. I don't care if you can only get a 5th or a 6th round pick. I think if you're going to tear it down all the way because the games starting on Sunday are completely secondary in the big picture.
Yeah, but I like that Muji had his line in the sand and he said, you come meet me. You want the player? Give me what I want. I like that we got a general manager. I super chatted this yesterday that didn't get taken advantage of, didn't just have a fire sale to have the fire sale. Maybe they have a plan and, we're going to have to wait to see that plan. I think it's pretty wild that they extend Sauce Gardner to the largest contract in team history. And they built an out clause in there, not a clause, but they structured it to protect themselves if they move them. Like that to me is that blows my mind that, when you bring a pen and paper to a guy and say, we want to give you this contract, you're going to be the highest paid player in New York Jets history. And then he's gone 4 months later. and it doesn't really affect us financially, that's unheard of. You don't see that. Now, it's a negative to be unheard of, right? Normally you sign a guy to that contract, he's your face of your franchise for a while to come, but I'm pretty intrigued that they built it that way, Jake.
It's fascinating because you just don't see this happen, right? I mean, like the fact that you referred to Sauce as a foundational piece, you paid him, he's having a good season, and then he's gone. Stunning. I mean, completely out of nowhere. I'm not surprised about Quinnen. I'm surprised about what they got for Quinnen. I didn't think they'd be able to do that. Thank you, Jerry Jones. But man, it's crazy. What it really comes down to now, beyond the obvious, they got to hit on the picks. We all understand that. Hopefully they hit on the AZ Thomas pick because Stevens looks like he's a good corner. He certainly was horrific at the beginning of the year, but he's played a lot better. Hopefully that continues. They're banking on that. Brownlee has arguably been the best move that Darren Muji has made, getting that guy to replace Carter for a 6th rounder. He's been awesome. If AZ Thomas is legit, and if you watched our film breakdown last week with Joe Blowett, he believes in AZ Thomas. And after what I saw, so do I. If he's good, your secondary is going to be okay. Like, you have pieces there. You kept McDonald, you kept Germaine. You're going to have to find legitimate defensive tackles now to replace Quinnen. You're going to need another linebacker when Quincy likely walks in the offseason. But even after these trades, like, this defense is not completely bereft of talent. My issue is I think they are poorly coached. And I don't know if that changes if Glenn is here or if he retains Steve Wilkes. I know it's not changing. So that's another thing to watch here these next 9 weeks. Do we see better coaching, just better game plans, better execution? Like, look at the Niners. Look at the amount of injuries they have on both sides of the ball, and it doesn't matter. They find a way to overcome it because they're well coached. Can we see some competency from the coaching down the stretch here? Because otherwise, I don't care how many picks the Jets have. There's going to be a large portion of this fan base, and rightfully so, that doesn't feel overly confident going into any offseason with a lot of picks. Because if you don't believe in your coaching staff, you don't have a chance in today's NFL.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I am a very big fan of Tanner Engstrand, and I'm hoping that they give him everything he needs. Like, we shouldn't have to settle for anyone, right? We have the draft capital. If Tate starts to slide into the low teens and they say we want to go pair Tate with Wilson, they have the capital to go get whoever they want. So not only do we have the capital, we have the capital to be movers and dealers come the draft. So there's opportunities here to put together a modern day NFL offense, get the quarterback. You got almost all of the line put together. You got Garrett, you got Taylor. You'll have Braylon Allen coming back. Davis has shown that he can be a good, Robin in the backfield. Do you extend Brees? Do you just keep the backfield together? But there's a lot of questions we have for down the road. But in terms of coaching, give Tanner Engstrand everything and give this rookie quarterback everything they need to succeed. The only 2 guys we've ever drafted a quarterback that have done well were Chad and Mark. And they had their lines basically built for them. We're almost at a finish point with the line. You can finish the line with the draft or even in free agency if one of these big names don't get retained. You shouldn't get outbid for anyone with $117 million available. The Jets have a really big opportunity to add marquee talent and bring guys in. So, it's the can has been kicked down the road for half a year and a half. But if you hit on the picks and you turn this ship completely around, we're not going to care that we gave up a cornerback and a 28-year-old defensive tackle. If we start winning, that's all we're going to care about is when the wins start stockpiling.
I mean, look, this new regime is here to stay. They bought themselves time with this. I mean, I question them being allowed to do this, but they were. And now, if you're someone who is skeptical, you have to hope that this head coach improves. That a guy who's looked in over his head the first half of the year, maybe that win over the Bengals wasn't fool's gold and it's the start of something. But let's see, because I think we learn a lot about the Jets Sunday. What's the effort like coming out of the bye week, right? What's the locker room feeling after these moves? The organization told you 2025 no longer matters. How do they respond? You can say whatever you want about Sauce and Quinnen. They are beloved in that room. Quinnen's the longest tenured player on the Jets. He's the last Mike McCagnon pick that's still here. Sauce Gardner's beloved in that room. How do the guys come out and play? How do they respond? Do they go out there and do they still give you a great effort? They haven't won a home game all season. Like, does that matter to them? Like, let's see. And these are things that you could start to learn as a litmus test for a coaching staff that's coming in off the bye as well. We all know how awful the Jets have been, regardless who the head coach is, off their bye week. 1-8 over the last 9 seasons following their bye. So there's still a lot to look at with this team, even if the wins now clearly don't matter for saving anyone's job, because let's be real, you don't make these moves yesterday if you're now going to think about one and doneing your coach and blowing it up. No, Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are here for at least the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna reserve with Glenn because, like I said, I got to see him improve as a game manager on game day, and I think he's got to stop the nonsense with the media. You can't be losing games and being a bulldog or a pit bull in front of the media. Like it's the act's gonna wear out, and I think it's embarrassing us even more so than the results on the field. You can't be that level of just pigheaded when you're losing. You can't be that type of guy when you're stacking L after L, and some of the L's are because of your decision making. Stop acting like your decisions are world changing when you have to make them. It's the act is wearing old on me. Just I like the guy, but I don't like the media act. And I think in New York you will lose people very quickly, and I think the right people will get in Woody's ear and be like, you can't have this guy doing this. So I'm reserving judgment on Glenn. I want him to succeed. I want him to get it right, but there's a couple things he's got to improve upon in order to stay. I don't
A
think
couple
it's
things.
a given.
A
Yeah,
couple
well,
things.
well, coaching and media are the 2 biggest ones, right? Like, game time decisions or game.
I don't think the media
decisions.
thing matters if they're winning, but he's not. And I think it's
Exactly.
completely tone deaf. And he's going to probably take the same approach today when they're asking him about, what is this signal? He's going to say, signals nothing. They're going to say, so you wouldn't have made these moves if you weren't 1-7. He'll say the record has nothing to do. Like, he'll be combative. He'll do what he does. And he's not going anywhere now. Like, this question here from Ernesto is, why do these buffoons, AG and Muji, deserve the chance to turn the team around? They're the ones that the team would win this season. They're getting the chance because Woody believes in them. That's ultimately why Woody believes in Glenn. Once again, Woody Johnson hired Aaron Glenn. That was his pick. He will not admit he made a mistake. Maybe he didn't make a mistake. Maybe Glenn improves and gets better, but all that matters is the owner believes. So that's why they're here. And the owner signed off on these moves. Glenn had to go to Woody and say, hey, I want to trade Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. That's not Darren Muji doing that. That's a Aaron Glenn to the owner saying, I want to trade these guys. Do I have your blessing to do it? And the owner signed off on it. So he's now, no matter what happens this year, Jets lose by 30 every week, finish 1-16. He's not going anywhere. So we have to hope that he improves. And that doesn't happen. They show competency and that they have the ability to identify the right quarterback to take in the top 3, and that they go out there and actually surround the right quarterback with what he needs to be successful.
Yeah, you know what I would love to see from Glenn? I know we're probably not going to see it, but when he gets asked these questions, I would love for him to just go up there and say, Muji's the general manager. He addressed the trades yesterday when speaking with you guys. I'm focused on Cleveland. I'll take questions about the team. Like, you know what I mean? I want that line of division. General manager and then the head coach. I don't want Glenn.
But that'd be disingenuous though, because when they've asked him about personnel, he said, he's like, I called Brees and said, I am not trading you. If teams call, I have to take the call. He's referred to I in terms of GM decisions. He's the GM, and Muji is obviously working with him in a tandem there.
I didn't say it was happening. I just said what I wanted to see, though. Like, I would love to see the division of, Muji answered those questions on personnel. I'm going to focus on Cleveland right now. But we're not going to see that. It's going to be more media clips, and I don't want that shit. Get better as a coach, man. When you start winning, then you can have fun with the media. When your decisions are leading to victories, and when you're stockpiling and doing things called a winning streak, you can have fun and mess with the media at that point. But right now, man, humble yourself, dude, because you're showing in multiple ways you don't deserve to be at the mic and you don't deserve to have the main headset on.
Hey, the Jets are coming in off a win. The vibes are high, and the Jets hit the practice field today, and you know what that means.
We had a great week of practice.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, there's over 700 of you watching live. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have a raffle at the end of the show today. Last chance to enter to win a signed Justin Fields jersey, a signed Wayne Krumet football, and a signed Nick Mangold football, paying homage to the late, great Nick Mangold. Let's pay homage to a guy who wants to be here and is on the Jets for what we hope is the long haul. That is Germaine Johnson. We have a signed Germaine Johnson jersey up for grabs today. Gift a membership. You're entered in the raffle for the Germaine jersey, and you're also entered in for the weekly prizes. So this is your last chance to enter. We will give away 4 prizes on the show today. I mentioned what Germaine tweeted. I pulled it up to reference now. Quote, I'd be lying if I said I was happy my brothers are gone, because I'm not. I'm sick, but I believe strongly in the organization, staff, and my other brothers in the locker room. I said when I got drafted, I wanted to be the reason or part of the reason this thing gets changed for the better, and that's going to continue to be my outlook. I love this team and this fan base, and y'all will continue to get my all, my absolute best on and off the field. Let's look onward and upward because better things are coming, and I give my word on that. Go Jets, always. This guy should be a captain starting Sunday. You had Quinnen Williams traded. He was a defensive captain. Jamie Sherwood was benched for the first quarter of the Bengals game. He's a captain. Effective immediately. Germaine Johnson should be a captain because this is what leadership looks like, and I'm thrilled the Jets didn't trade him. I know they apparently had a second-round pick on the table. I'm not trading Germaine for a second-round pick. He plays a premium position, is a leader. I want him here. Let's hope he stays healthy the rest of the way, and this is the guy that I think you have talks of what an extension would look like because he's going to be on his 5th-year option going into next year.
Yeah, this is, we've lost 2 captains this year. AVT went down with the injury, and now Quinnen. So I'm curious to see if the Jets do anoint somebody else to the captain position. Also, I have a quick question for you, Jake. The night of the Bengal game, you said that we had the bye week coming up and we can't lose. Now, revisiting yesterday, did we lose during the bye week, Jake? Did we win?
Well, we lost 2 players. You know what though? Like I'm not mad that they traded Sauce because of the return they got. I'm not mad that they traded Quinnen. In fact, I said on the show, if they get a first for Quinnen, I have to do it. I think the big thing for me is just we're now tied to this head coach for a couple more years. And that concerns me because I think he's been horrible. And I hope he gets better because we have no choice but to root for him. But that to me is what I think some people are missing here. We could be excited about the returns, and we should be. They got tremendous value, but like we've seen what happens when you actually pick the right quarterback. But if you have the wrong coach and infrastructure, it doesn't matter. See Sam Darnold. I'm very concerned about Glenn. He has not been bad. He's been horrific in my mind so far. And I'm hoping he gets better because as excited as we can be about the offseason and the big debates on Mendoza, Moore, Simpson, you're going to have the people saying, let's wait till 2027, which I'm going to strangle those people because I'm just not doing it. Every year, the following year is the best quarterback class ever. And we get to that year and it's the following year again. I'm not doing it. But like none of this matters if our coach is this bad. So that's why it's like, it's bittersweet that they maximize the value on these players, but we still have to have a real coach if we're going to have any chance. We've had talented teams the last few years. They didn't win anything because of coaching. And we now are stuck with this coach for the foreseeable future. So I pray Aaron Glenn gets better or none of this matters.
Yeah. I want to see Wilkes and his improvement. Wilkes.
Or he's gone. I mean,
he was one and done in San Francisco and they went to a Super Bowl.
And remember, Dan Campbell fired Anthony Lynn after his first year in Detroit. So he changed the offensive coordinator and promoted Ben Johnson, which really led to the Lions turnaround, if you think about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Angstrand is safe. I think Angstrand has done well with what he's been given at quarterback. I like what we see. There's been some questionable moments with play calling, but I think overall, when you look at the poor quarterback play that we've had, I like the game plans that he's putting together. It's just not being executed on the field. There's guys who are open. The scheme is good. I want to see more commitment to the run. And hopefully, if we're not down by 17 points, you can do that. You have a game here. My benchmark for the Jets this year was 40 carries in a game. You get 40 rushing attempts, you should win that game. They got the 39 against the Steelers. They had 36 against the Bengals. But that should be the blueprint for this offense. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and put short third down situations for Fields to throw. So we'll see.
I just don't think you could win with that in today's NFL.
Yeah,
like the Eagles could do it because they have an all-star team. Like the Jets need to find a quarterback who could run an offense, who has a high floor.
100%.
Like
going forward, yes. But right now we can't do that in early November.
I don't think they're going to be able to win a lot of games here because I think the offense is going to struggle. Now, I hope that Fields could play. Like, here's the thing with Fields, right? Can we get some sort of version between when he's at his best against the Steelers this year and what we saw against Cincinnati, where like there's somewhere in the middle where he doesn't either play like Patrick Mahomes or he plays like Zach Wilson. Like there has to be some sort of middle ground where can you just be mediocre? Because mediocre will give you a chance in some of these games here. Because it's like even with trading Sauce and trading Quinnen. One, it's the NFL, so games are naturally closer when you least expect it. And two, the schedule is not tough for the Jets down the stretch. Like, there's winnable games here, and at least be competitive in the games that you're not going to win. Like, if they get embarrassed against New England on Thursday Night Football next week, like, that's going to suck, man. I don't care how many future draft picks we have. If they get embarrassed by Mike Vrabel and the Pats, like, everyone who's out excited today, that's gone immediately because you're going to realize you're stuck with this coach. And I get it. He's going to have his quarterback, but like, it's not going to necessarily change. If you look this incompetent now you're being entrusted to develop and pick the right quarterback. That's what scares me the most. We've now made our bed with these guys making these decisions, and it scares me. That's why I would like to see real improvement down the stretch to feel a little better about our future.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points, Jake. We have games that we can win. We have games that I think there's one or two that we should win. Cleveland, Saints, Miami. But how do you compete in these other games? That's going to be the big benchmark, I think, for Glenn. Are you just completely outclassed week after week, or are you coaching up? Are you competing with New England in both games? Are you competing with Baltimore? Do you find ways and coaching styles and ideologies to help the team succeed on the field? We've lost two major pieces on the defense. How do you bounce back from that? Do you change the scheme? Do you change the play calling? How do you mask not having someone like Quinnen's level up front on the D-line anymore? So coaching is going to be the forefront of the second half of the season. And like you said, it can be really bad, or maybe we can start to see some growth.
I mean, they're playing a Browns team that's not very good, people. Like, do people realize what the Browns have been this year? They probably don't, right? The Browns have lost 12 consecutive road games. Like, the Jets, you're at home. Show some pride, man. The Browns are averaging 15.8 points per game this season. That's the third fewest in the league. It's the team's fewest points per game through 8 games since 2017. Why do I bring up that year? They didn't win a game that season. They were 0-16. Like, they have a very good defense, but the Jets have no excuse to not find a way to win a home game, man. But let's see, because I question everything with this team. But the one thing I will not question is the job Muji did yesterday getting value. If you were going to trade these guys, the return they got was excellent. Now it comes down to, can they find a quarterback? Everything the Jets do going forward needs to be about quarterback and the infrastructure for that quarterback. And only time will tell there. Let me say this for those of you watching live right now, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I want to thank everyone who tuned into our live trade deadline reaction stream yesterday. We are now over 43,000 subscribers. So our goal is to get to 50K this offseason. So appreciate everyone who was along for the ride. We got a raffle coming up at the end of the show today for our weekly prizes and a signed Germaine Johnson jersey. Let me get to some super chats here. Our guy Paul checks in. At least Aaron Glenn won't have to answer QB questions today. Truth is, we have no choice but to root for this regime to get it right and not hold the previous regime's failures at quarterback against them. No doubt, but Paul, I think you and I are aligned in this. Their first big decision is move on from Rodgers. Let's bring in Fields and say he's never been coached properly, and we're going to let him play quarterback. And Justin Fields has statistically never been this bad at any point in his career. So, yeah, I mean, we got to hope they get it right when they draft a quarterback, but their first big quarterback evaluation and what they're going to be able to do and build a team around the skill set of a guy they handpicked doesn't exactly give, I think, most Jet fans confidence. So that's kind of what we're battling here, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, the quarterback position can change the entire franchise around. And right now we're bad because our quarterback play is bad, Jake, right? Like, I don't think anyone disagrees with that. There's been games where good quarterback play, we'd get some wins. Tampa, the game in London against the Broncos. We left 3-4 wins on the field with the quarterback play that we have. And people who keep saying 15 years drought, I keep saying it's not Glenn and Muji's responsibility to absolve the Jets' sins of the past. It's their job to build it the right way for them going forward. There's no magic abracadabra wand that they can wave that makes the pain of the Jets fans 15 years go away. What they're going to do is they're going to build it their way and hope that's enough to succeed and sustain. That's it. They can't take the pain away, guys. They can't take away Fitzpatrick's 4 interceptions at the end of 2015. They can't take away the Jets defense not showing up in the first half against Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship. They can't take our pain away. But what they can do is try to build it the right way. And when you have this draft capital now and you have the opportunity to go get the quarterback, that can ease the pain, but they can't make the past disappear. And fans get too caught up in that.
Yeah, but they've contributed to why we're here. They're 1-7 and had a fire sale yesterday because they're 1-7. If they had a couple extra wins right now, they're not blowing the whole thing up. The whole
But if we
tenor
get
of the
the
season's
quarterback
different.
though, and we start to win year after year,
Yeah, but they
we
could
can
get
give
the
a shit.
quarterback, and that guy could still fail here because they put him in a spot where he has a terrible head coach.
You're building like Allen, like doomsday scenarios already. Like
But
you're
it's
already
not doing.
locked into losing.
We lived through it with Sam Darnold, though. That's my point to you,
Yeah,
right?
but
Like
Darnold had no talent. You said that yourself
he also
before.
had Adam Gase as his coach.
And won games despite Gase. He
What do you mean he won games? They won 2 games in 2020.
that was the first year. No, that was his last
Yeah,
year.
the first year they started 1-7. He didn't even play in all those games because he had mono and missed time. Like we've already seen this, man. That's what I think people don't seem to understand. It's like the draft picks are nice, but we've seen the Jets actually hit on their picks, have a talented team, but they don't win.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to coach and quarterback. And I don't think we have a coach, and we don't have any idea on who the quarterback is. That's why I'm hoping Glenn improves, because if he doesn't, it's not going to matter. That's the problem. I don't think people realize that. It's like if your head coach is terrible, you could have all the draft picks in the world. You won't win. Adam Gase won 7 games his first year. It's crazy. That's the most successful year Quinnen Williams was a part of from a winning percentage standpoint. It's why I don't fault Quinnen for being upset when he's like, I guess we're headed for another rebuild. And then Glenn gaslights him into saying, no, man, we're going to win. Quinnen's heard it all. He's went through Gase. Then he went through the Saleh regime. Then he went through Olbrich and that mess last year. Then this year, he's being sold things are going to be different. They're not. And as long as this playoff drought is, right, 15 years for us fans, Quinnen's been a part of half of it, right? He's been on the team for 7 seasons. So I don't fault the guy for wanting a fresh start. I would too. We all would. It's human nature. I'm glad that he gets a chance to go somewhere else. I don't know how much winning he's going to do in Dallas, at least this year, but at least it's a fresh start for him, and they got maximum value. I don't blame him at all.
I'm very happy that the loss Sunday night to the Cardinals didn't cost the trade, because Jerry was asked right after the game, does losing tonight change? Because with the Cowboys, or was it Monday night? My days are all screwed up. Sorry. Without having a game on Sunday, the whole week is like thrown off what day it is. When they lost Monday night, he was asked, they had the structure of the deal already in place, but they had to wait till after their game week was finished to submit the paperwork yesterday. So I'm glad that loss to the Cardinals didn't scare the Cowboys off. Getting a 1 and a 2 is tremendous return. And
Great value. Once again, it's just
very happy that didn't cost the Cowboys. I'm glad the Cowboys didn't get, shy and back away from it.
I think it's a terrible trade they made. And I think Quinnen will be a lot better for them than he was for us, because he's going to be, rejuvenated and motivated and all that. But I just think you trade a first and a second for a guy who's not an elite pass rusher. He's an elite run stuffer, and he does command double teams. I just think that's way too much. But hey, that is their problem. So God bless them. Super chat here from Dan. Might need to start 2027 mock drafts this season. Get ready, baby. Mock draft season's upon us. This offseason, we know where all the picks are going to be for the Jets for the most part, right? I don't think Indy's going to win the Super Bowl, but that pick is probably going to be from 25 onward, if I had to guess. And then you have the Dallas pick, which could be in the top 50 range. We will see. The thing the Jets have going for them, though, is they have the ability to now wheel and deal. And they also could trade back. Let's say, the Colts pick is 25. What if the Jets are like, hey, we're going to trade back. Let's get an extra second-round pick. So we have 3 second-round picks, and we get a third-round pick for a team that wants to come up to get their quarterback at the end of the first round. Look what the Giants did to get Jackson Dart, for example. The Texans were able to extract 3 total day 2 picks. So you now are in position where if you're a good GM, if you want to navigate the draft board, Muji could wheel and deal backwards and get even more draft capital here. So it sets up a lot of excitement for, those of you who love the draft for sure. And hopefully they pick the right quarterback, because that's really, at the end of the day, above everything else, what matters.
Yeah, you shouldn't miss out on your guy. Like I said, Tate is a guy that I would love to team with, potentially a Moore, Mendoza, and Garrett. If he starts to slide into those teams, and say the Colts get knocked out wild card weekend and that pick ends up being like 22, you could take 22 and the Cowboys pick and move up to go get a wide receiver. So go give this quarterback everything he needs to succeed. No more half-assing it. No more drafting a quarterback without the line in place. We got that. No more drafting a quarterback without multiple wide receivers in this day and era in the NFL. Every good passing team has multiple wide receivers that can be considered ones. We need to get to that level. We can't half-ass this. It's got to be all in, build a modern day NFL offense. We have all the assets that we need to structure this for success for the quarterback. Now just go do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me get caught up on the super chats and the memberships here. Last chance to enter the raffle. DP is in our Germaine Johnson signed jersey raffle for 2. Thank you, DP. Hollywood Rio with a super chat here. If AG was cut at the end of the season, which he won't be now, who specifically replaces him? That's the question. Well, we'll never know, but I'd imagine the Jets would want to hire a coach with experience on the offensive side. That'd be logical for a team that's going to be taking a quarterback in the top 3. If AG stays, will we survive? Do we want to keep firing coaches who make sense? It's almost a moot point now, Hollywood Rio, because he's not going to get fired. So I'm not even going to, waste the energy on it. Jets Worldwide says maybe saying Glenn's the final word was a bad decision. Muji's proving himself. Philip Briggs, Brownlee, recent trade negotiations. I think Muji's done a good job with extracting value and making these in-season trades for sure. But ultimately, the higher end stuff now, it's Glenn signing off on it, right? Like that, like Muji goes, hey, we could get this player. What do you think? And if Glenn says do it, then Muji negotiates it. Then he goes back to Glenn and says, here's the value. Do you still feel comfortable with it? Like they work in a tandem, but Muji's not going to make any personnel move that the head coach doesn't sign off on. That includes the quarterback. And by the way, I looked this up because I was curious. Remember when they drafted Armand Membu? The reports immediately came out that the Jets really liked him, but they were sold after Aaron Glenn had an over-hour conversation with him the night before the draft. Like, once again, no move is made without the head coach, who's the de facto head personnel guy, signing off on things. So, we need to hope that Glenn's scouting background pays off dividends in regards to the quarterbacks. Because the one thing you can give the Jets credit for is Membu looks like a player. Mason Taylor looks like a player. Let's see what AZ Thomas is. I think Malachi Moore for a day 3 pick is improving. So we will see, but it's a whole different level of scrutiny and decision-making when you talk about maybe using the first overall pick on a QB when there's not a consensus top guy you should take. Like there's a debate on who that guy is.
Yeah. I mean, you could stay at 3 and you can stick and pick. But if you decide, say the Titans end up with the number 1 pick, right? Because I don't see them really winning. Say the Titans end up the number 1. You could be in a bidding war potentially with the Dolphins or the Saints to get the 1. You're not getting outbid now. You might have to overpay to go get your guy, but if you hit on the quarterback, it's worth it. So the Jets are in the driver's seat come the NFL draft. I think the worst case for us, if you want the number 1 pick, is if the Saints or the Dolphins end up with it. So we should be rooting for the Titans. If it's not us, the Titans to get the number 1 pick, because I think the Titans would be sellers. I think the Saints or the Dolphins would stick and pick. So that's another little side thing to keep an eye on. Keep rooting for the Titans to lose every week so that we can go get our guy. But, just fucking hit. Finally, can we hit? We deserve it, man. We really do.
We desperately need to get a quarterback. That's the only way it changes. Black Gypsy in the raffle for 1. Jet Life, everyone has a price. He's in for 2. Big Will, some fans will be mad if they start winning because of draft position. Then if they lose, they get mad and say they suck. You can't have both. I agree with you, Big Will. I mean, I want to see competency. If they win, I'm not going to freak out over draft positioning, man. They're not going to win that many games the rest of the way. And even if they do, they have the ammunition to move up. And there's no consensus top quarterback. And I don't know how many times I got to say this, folks. Just because you have the number 1 pick in the draft does not mean you're guaranteed to get a great quarterback. The last 10 QBs taken number 1 overall: Luck, Winston, Goff, Mayfield, Murray, Burrow, Lawrence, Young, Williams, Ward. 0 Super Bowl wins combined. Only Goff and Burrow have appeared in a Super Bowl. Only Luck and Burrow clearly worked out for the teams that drafted them. And both, in the case of Luck, he's retired because of this. And Burrow, again, is hurt. Have dealt with so many injuries that it hasn't even fully worked out for those respective teams. Goff and Mayfield only have achieved success once they left the teams that originally drafted them. Winston, Murray, Lawrence, Young, they've all been either okay to disappointing. Let's be real. Caleb Williams, Cam Ward, we don't know yet, but it's not like they're blowing us away so far. The best quarterbacks in the league, outside of probably Burrow right now, none of them were the first picks in the draft. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, you know where they went? 10, 7, 32. The Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts, was a second-round pick. Dak Prescott was a fourth-round pick. Brock Purdy, who is injured now, but is on a team that is one of the best in the conference. Where was he picked? Oh, he was picked as Mr. Irrelevant. Jordan Love was in the late first round. Like, I could keep going, but hopefully people understand it's not about finishing with the number one pick. It's about having competent people running your organization that can identify a quarterback and then help that quarterback develop. And that's the big question now that we don't have the answer to with the Jets. They could have all the draft picks in the world. They got to get the right people in charge there making these decisions. And hopefully they do, because that's our only chance of this turning around.
Now, I'm very vocal that I like Angstrom. Well, what's your take? I'm just curious. How do you feel about just Angstrom? Forget Glenn, Wilkes, and everything else. The offense with Angstrom and Turner running it together. Like,
I don't think he's been terrible, but if they were going to one and done Aaron Glenn, I'd say see you later. Tanner Angstrom in 5 seconds.
okay, but it looks like now we're saying that Glenn is going to be here. Like, how do you feel about Angstrom and Turner being with the quarterback of the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to hire a different quarterback coach. Why is Charles London the QB coach? What's his great experience? Like, I'd love to see them try and get someone who's worked with quarterbacks that they could add to the coaching staff to help with the development. I mean, I don't think Angstrom's been bad. I think he's showing signs of improvement, but I think you and Frankie V and some people are just way too high on a guy when they went from week 2 until the Bengals game last week without a first half touchdown. Like, I don't care how bad your quarterback situation is, man. That's not good. There's short yardage play calling too. How many times are we going to allow Justin Fields to check out of a QB sneak? How many times are we going to question a crazy play call? So, like, I think people are a little too high on Angstrom. I think part of it's because Wilkes was so bad that people wanted to highlight Angstrom instead. I'm not saying he's been terrible, but I think you, Bonesy, Frankie V, who's had like an erection the entire season over Angstrom, like, I think we got to calm down a little bit. Like, the Jets have done most of their offensive scoring in garbage time this year. Hopefully they're better over the next 9 weeks.
All right, you just grouped me in with Frankie V. I'm out. Fire Angstrom today.
He loves Angstrom, man. Loves him. It's like, do we not remember the Jets went from week 2 until week 8 without a first half touchdown? They went 2 consecutive games without scoring a touchdown. Like, that happened.
Jake, you want to have me sign some things? I mean, we can give them away because I'm one of the few Jets fans who've seen a victory this year.
You have.
I was there. To start signing mini helmets, I was there. Nick Shine.
Do you want to go to the game on Sunday against the Browns?
I'm debating it. I got a ticket offer. I'm debating it. I'm waiting to see.
I have a ticket offer for you and your son, because you're the only man who's seen a Jet win in person. So
I get a parade.
Keep it rolling.
me and Fireman Ed get a parade.
I don't have a parade for you, but I do have a hug for you.
I hug him every day. I hug him every day.
We're going to get to your calls coming up. Austrian Jet fan checking in. He's in the raffle for 5.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Big fella, Muji Cooks. Muji did great with the returns. There's no doubt. Jet Life, agree this provides a cop-out for Glenn after screaming win now. Yeah, I mean, it's smart for him. Maybe not for us fans if he sucks, but he bought himself time. There's no one-and-done talk now. He's convinced Woody that they needed to make these moves, and, they're not going to win. Well, don't worry. This is all part of the plan, and this was not the original plan. They had pivoted to this because they grossly mismanaged and did not do a good job in the first 8 games of the year, which got us to this point. Spencer Green in the raffle for 2. We need to make some money today. Lakers money line and whoever plays the Knicks. Spencer, you're a clown. Also, Beast, I submitted the articles yesterday. Now own the global studio. Brian writes in, let's lock arms and go on a run. 10-7. Here we come, baby.
That's it.
Mr. Downtown, I admire the moves, but Woody has some nerve to raise season ticket prices on a guaranteed losing season. Why can't he take the James Dolan route? Isn't that funny? You can say whatever you want about Dolan. He'll never raise ticket prices if his teams, the Rangers or the Knicks, are not coming off a playoff season. And Woody Johnson raises ticket prices after a 1-7 start, and the team just traded away the 2 most popular players on the roster, you could argue, in Sauce and Quinnen. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Woody, like, he's trying to self-sabotage, man. Like, one thing I like about Woody this year is since we hired Glenn, Woody's not at the mic very often. Of course, at the owners' meetings, he gets bombarded. That's the first time we've heard from Woody, really. Even at the Bengal game, Christopher Johnson was the one out on the field with the team before the game. I know Woody, you told me after the fact Woody wasn't there. But I like that he's completely in the shadows right now. But how do you go and do something stupid like this? You know your fan base is miserable. You know your fan base is angry. You know your fan base is down. How do you say, give us more money for the product that we put out there for the last 15 years? I don't get that.
Tone deaf.
It really is, man. And You have an 82,000 seat stadium, and it's going to look like this on Sunday. The Giants are doing bad, but the game the other day with the 49ers and Giants, it was hard to find an empty seat in the lower bowl. You were there in mid-October. There was empty seats everywhere. Fans had their legs up in front of them, putting their arms on the two chairs next to them. It's empty, and it's only going to get worse as the season goes on and the weather gets worse. And now you're going to turn season ticket holders who've been there for a very long time away. What's the point in paying for season tickets when, say, if you want these seats right here, you can wait to game day and buy them for pennies on the dollar for what you'd pay in the off season. There's no incentive. Your seats will be available. You might not sit next to the same people week after week, but I got a surprise for you. You'll be able to just walk in that section because security isn't going to give a damn because they're not checking it unless the stadium's going to be completely full. Buy the cheapest seats in the stadium and just walk into whatever section you want to walk in, folks, and you'll be there.
To me, it makes no sense. And if you want to go to games, I totally get it. I respect it. I love it. I love that people love tailgating and being part of that community every week. But I just think it's obvious that if you're a Jet fan, where this is headed next year, barring them hitting on one of these quarterbacks that is unreal their rookie year, like Stroud or Jaden Daniels in recent years, like this team's probably winning 4 or 5 games next year. And it's going to be all about year 3. We put it all together. We have our program now in place and we have the 3 firsts in 2027. Like, that's where this is headed. So the tickets are going to be cheap at this time a year from now. You'll save money if you just pick and choose the games you want to go to, and you don't need the upfront cost. So I'm with you. Frankie writes in, should Olu give up number 74 and retire it for Mangold? I don't know if he needs to give it up. Maybe he could be grandfathered into it, but I definitely think the Jets should retire the number. Like, I think that'd be really cool and deserving for Nick Mangold, whose funeral was yesterday and over 400 plus people were there, including a bunch of former Jets coaches and teammates of his. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm sure they'll do a very nice tribute to him before the game Sunday against Cleveland.
Yeah, I expect there to be a decal and maybe on the wall paneling, around by the end zone or something. You have like a thing up there for 74. But let's not forget, Mangold gave Olu the blessing to use it. So Mangold was okay with the number being used, and I'm not being insensitive. I love Nick Mangold, but to retire the number when you can argue that Mawai was even a better center. I get Mangold was career Jet, but you retire numbers in the NFL for the best of the best. Like, it's rare to retire a number in the NFL. So I love Nick. Nick was great on the field, off the field, but number retiring is where I'm out on that.
Bronx Jet fan in the raffle for not 1, but 2 by gifting a membership. We got our weekly raffle coming up. Nick Mangold signed football. You can still enter today. Wayne Corbett signed football. Justin Fields signed jersey. And I added a Germaine Johnson signed jersey to our daily raffle today. So you could enter for the Germaine jersey. And it's really a 2-for-1 special if you think about it. Because if you enter for the Germaine jersey, I'll put you in the raffle for next week, which I'm proud to announce features a signed Darrelle Revis football as the top prize and a signed Joe Klecko helmet as our second prize. So you could enter for really 3 raffles today by joining the show. You get in the weekly raffle, last chance for that at the end of the show. The Germaine jersey is a daily raffle, and then next week's weekly raffle. So a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, like the Jets getting 2 firsts for Sauce and a second and a 1 for Quinnen. Jason writes in, you consider tagging AVT if we cut a deal with Breeze? No, you're not going to use the tag on AVT. That'd be too big. Would I consider bringing Vera Tucker back on a 1-year prove-it deal? If he's open to it, absolutely, because he's not going to get a massive contract coming off another injury. I would roll the dice on AVT and draft someone with all my extra draft picks that could be a center/guard and have them in the pipeline developing. Like, I would totally be open to something like that. I think it actually makes sense if you can get AVT back on a 1-year prove-it deal.
I'm out on AVT. I can't put.
What if it's $5 million
to be a starter though? Because now your backup is going to be less. Like, he's not been able to finish 3 seasons. Health is the reason. Like, I can't.
$5 million though, and I could draft someone on day 2 or day 3 that's a guard. Like, I think that helps you. Like, what if he is healthy though? He was healthy last year before the season.
3 of his 5 have been ended. I mean, sometimes I know 1 year, $5 million. Sure, I think some team will give him more than that. I really do.
Look at the guard money though. It's not much. Like you have guys making like the 20 million, and then there's a huge drop off. All guys under 10 for the highest paid guards.
I would rather, if Simpson finishes this year healthy, I would rather go with Tittman and Simpson as our guards of the future.
That's fair.
And
You can bring
draft
Simpson
center.
back.
If Simpson plays the full year healthy, and we're number 2 in the league in rushing before this Sunday's games, I mean, why would we want to change anything? I think I would rather sign Myers and let Myers be our 6th man again, and then draft a center with one of these early picks. One of, probably the second rounder, one of our second rounders. Go get one of the best centers in the draft and use Myers as your backup. If we're leading the league in rushing, I don't want to make changes, and I don't want to put a position on that line to a guy who hasn't been able to be healthy. I'd rather put that money into Simpson, give him a deal, do a Sherwood deal where you lock him up before free agency and say, hey, we love what you're doing here. You're one of our leaders. Boom, you're in. Tittman's the right guard. You're not moving Tittman back to center after this. He's your right guard.
It gives you flexibility in case you love a guard with one of your picks, and then Tittman could slide back over to center. So I like having the flexibility there. We'll see. It's a good problem to have. I mean, they actually have good offensive line pieces for the rookie quarterback next year. Weave writes in, love Sauce and Q, but our team sucks right now. So getting draft picks at this point. Also, do you think they draft a QB this year or next? They're taking a quarterback this year, folks. There's going to be people who try and sell you on 2027. These are the same people who tried to sell you on this year's class being so much better than last year. And now this year, I'm hearing people say, oh, it's not a great quarterback class. Newsflash. They say every year it's not a great quarterback class. Every year, outside of what the Lawrence year was the last year, maybe, there were some people that were trying to hype you on Caleb Williams, but there was a huge debate on him and Daniels and May. Like, there's going to be 3 quarterbacks that go in the top 10 this year. It's not a good quarterback class, really? Like, quarterbacks get drafted. That's what happens. We had 2 go in the first round last year. We probably have at least 3, if not 4, this year. Like, get the quarterback this year. They need a quarterback. What are you selling us on if you go into next year with another bridge quarterback? Nothing. You're getting your quarterback this year. Yeah. You have the infrastructure in place for him. Surround him with better weapons in the offseason. Beef up the offensive line. Get better depth at tight end, receiver, running back potentially if you move on from Brees. Like, let's go from there, man. Like, they're not waiting till 2027. We all keep saying next year's the better year. Enough. Take a quarterback. They're going to. That's their plan.
And if the quarterback this year is a complete flop, Josh Rosen his ass and take another quarterback the following year. Done.
Agreed.
Don't be afraid to be great.
Mike Perez, I think we all collectively liked our draft this year by Muji, a.k.a. Glenn. We should expect a better one next year. Let's see what happens. Beningo was giddy by the moves. Joe will be with us tomorrow. He was unavailable today, so we'll talk with Joe about it. I mean, Joe thinks both Sauce and Quinnen were incredibly overrated, so he's happy with the return, but when the Jets lose to the Browns, Joe's going to be right back to being mad with Aaron Glenn. So, that's how it goes with Joe B. Ultimately, they got to win games. And if the head coach sucks, I don't care how many draft picks they have, it will not matter. And that's my big fear.
Yeah, I mean, I can't keep saying it enough. You got to build an NFL offense. And that's the most important thing out of that.
And your coach needs to understand how to handle an NFL offense and make good decisions understanding how long a field goal is, for example, at the end of a game. That would be nice.
Very good point. I don't know.
Zedward.
That comment.
What about Josh McCown for QB coach? Never happening. Why would he leave Minnesota for a lateral move?
Yeah.
The only way Josh McCown would go anywhere is if he's the offensive coordinator somewhere. And even then, I don't know. He's already getting head coaching interviews without even being the play caller in Minnesota. I think if he just keeps paying his dues, he'll get an opportunity to get a job. Remember, Kevin O'Connell got the Vikings job, and he was with the Rams. He never even was the play caller there. So, there'll be an opportunity for McCown, I think, to go and be a play caller somewhere or be a head coach. He's not going to take a lateral move to be a QB coach. I don't see it.
McCarthy plays well the rest of the season, and now your resume is being the part of the staff that kick-started Sam Darnold's career, and now you build J.J. McCarthy the following year. McCown will be one of the hot coaches this offseason. He will be one of the big guys in demand. And deservedly so. Not just a great football mind. Everyone loves him. They called him Uncle Josh when he was here, because he took the younger guys under his wing. And I got nothing but love for McCown.
I love Josh McCown. Wish him well. Let's see. motivated. Could we trade for Burrow? Stop it. Stop it.
Why would the Bengals no?
I would love to trade for Burrow. Do I think they're going to? No.
Why not? Why not go for Mahomes too? All right.
Yeah, right.
Call Andy Reid. He's a quarterback whisperer. He can just get another guy and make him great.
You ready to get to some calls here, Mr. Shine?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, first up today on the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is...
Hi, everybody. This is Bob from Vermont. I am Bob, of course. Hello, guys. How you doing? Nick, you did awesome. Thank you for your suggestion. And I saw your thing on YouTube last night.
You saw my thing on YouTube.
I meant your thing you were talking about me.
Calm your freaky down.
And then, yeah, you came up with the great idea that putting me into the nursing home, so I don't.
Yeah.
I have to walk on my heel.
For those that don't know, Bob's going to have a surgery on Thursday, and he's going to have to be on crutches and not be able to put his foot down. And I said to him, "Why don't you call your doctor and see if they can refer you and put you into a nursing home until you're able to walk and be on your own? Because God forbid he falls at home, you know, that wouldn't be good." So Bob did it, and they're going to put him in a nursing home, rehabilitate him, and take care of him until he's ready to come home.
I got to walk on my heel, the doctor said, so you don't.
Yeah.
The incision, that's why. They got to give me a weird looking shoe to wear, so it's weird.
Yeah, I had it when they removed my toe. It's like a platform shoe, but the platform is on the heel part, the front of it is.
I got to get balance on that. Jake, how was I yesterday calling in your show?
Magical, Bob. Great call.
Yeah, but Carlin, you better watch out. Cats, I love cats. So.
He's not a fan of cats. You had to defend cats, though. It was a good call by you.
Well, I did, and then I think you're a great. You were doing great list. Yes, you did. Awesome.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, because I think you should be the head coach, like I said, and Big Fella should be the general manager.
I don't want to be the head coach. I want to be the director of common sense.
Common sense. That's good. Oh, yeah. Today I woke up late for practice. I missed practice. I hope my guys did good today in practice. That's how you go. Practice. It makes everybody feel good. How's
Is that your Aaron Glenn impression?
Yeah. Is my friend coming on today, Jeff Paws?
He might be.
I got them mixed up if it was Wednesday or Thursday.
You're a big fan of Jeff Parcells, huh?
No, I met Jeff Parcells. I got it right now, Parcells.
No, it's Parles.
Why are you correcting him, Jake?
No,
let him cook, Jake.
No, it's Paul's. It is Paul. Yeah, but I got close.
You got it right last week. That was a good moment. You got it right. You're so excited.
I like him very much.
Hey, Bobby, go sit in that chair behind you.
Which chair?
It looks comfortable. The one behind you.
The chair behind you. How many chairs do you have to choose from?
Yeah, okay. Let me do that.
Yeah, let's see you in that chair with that robe on.
I want to get a recliner. I got to get a recliner. My fat ass broke it when I was.
You need a big Cho recliner.
Yeah, that would be good. Oh, what's out there? Coffee's out there. Coffee. Big Cho.
Like slow Dr. Evil turn. Wait, move that chair out of the way. Good call, Bob.
There we go. Let's go. Let's see you sit in that chair.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, get in there. Nice and soft, but I should have. I wish I didn't break my hand. How you doing, everybody?
Did I just see what I thought I just saw?
What?
Maybe, yeah.
What?
Maybe not safe for work. Bob, all the love.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob from Vermont. I am Bob, of course.
That was something. What did I just see there?
Yeah. Was that Jake?
It might have been.
Right?
It might have been.
Well, Bobby, thank you for walking over to the chair, Bobby.
Well, on that note, let's transition back to Jets talk, shall we? NY Jets fandom writes in, Muji's starting to show his worth. Glenn needs to do the same. Any chance we could swap Glenn for Gruden? No. Aaron, if you want a takeaway from yesterday, Aaron Glenn is going nowhere. They could lose every game by 30 points the rest of the way. He is going nowhere. He got the approval to make these moves. So he's going nowhere. Period. End of story. We could disagree with it. I know I certainly do. I think if they finish 1-16, that's grounds for firing a coach. But man, I don't think that's going to happen.
There's no way I'm going back to Jet Talk after that. You got to give me a little bit to be.
I will let
You're
you.
a professional, Jake. I'm not. I'm a wise ass.
We'll let you recharge. There's a guy on the line that always wants to talk Jets, and he actually has a very exciting announcement that I could share with the audience.
Let's go Jets! Let's go Jets! Let's go Jets! Let's go Jets!
Beast, tell us about your famous Christmas tree that is now available.
It's already up, and you got the pick sent to you. This is
What a trade.
Brand new 2025 Bad Boy of the Year, and this took not just 30 minutes, 1 hour, 34 minutes, 54 seconds. Timing, conditioning, little training, and the town, yes, that was built. Little work, a little bit of sweat. No problem.
What a
Now,
trade.
the first question that popped to mind: will that tree get in the way of you doing football plays and jumping onto your bed?
We'll see. We'll see what we're gonna see what happens, because right now, little rotator cuff problem right now. Trying to get the circulation
lights
back
up
into
on
the
the
arm.
tree.
Not as easy
So,
as it
can you
looks.
light the tree for us?
That's why it's a good thing I got some medicine for this stuff.
That's soy sauce.
Nuh-uh. Medicine for the rotator cuff. You rub it on. That's all you gotta do is rub it on there. It smells like a bitch, but you know what the best part is? It heals. And our boys need to put an ice bath in the locker room. I've been bitching about this for months now. Get an ice bath. Not hard. You can cough up a couple $1,000s and get an ice bath put in the locker room. Make it work. These boys need to learn that pain comes a price. And a price you got to learn to deal with. It's like the old saying, deal with it. Deal with it. And are we ready for basketball season? Because I sure as hell am. I'm ready. But I think we're going to be just fine. Dippy, go.
Thank you, Beast. All right. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Let's say hello right now to our next caller, and that is Jordan, who joins us now. Hello, Jordan.
You always catch me at the bad times.
This is the best time to be on the show. We go at Bobby, Beast, then Jordan. No pressure.
Yeah. can't top those. First thing I want to say is that the first thing we need to do to make this team good again is trade a second-round pick for Spencer Rattler.
The Gary method.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that, well, first, I'm happy with whatever his name is, Darren, making the trades, because I feel like it was the right thing to do for the team, even though we like these players, but we weren't winning, and we haven't won with them. So, like, my question to you, Jake, was, like, I understand what you're saying, and like you're saying that we need to hit on the picks, which is very true, and I understand that. But how many more years were we going to go with the same players and not win, and keep trying to build around them and not win? And that's my thing. So I feel like it was the right move, even though they did just sign Sauce. But again, with Sauce, he was not a team captain. He was not a leader in the locker room, really. And where Quinnen was more of a leader and a team captain, and people looked up to him. Where it's like, now that these guys are gone, somebody made a point on another podcast where it's like, where somebody said that they're going to have to look to other people now, like Germaine Johnson or Garrett Wilson, and for leadership, and those are the type of guys that they're looking for. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, Jake.
I think it was just the value more than like the leadership or whatnot. Like, the team's 1-7.
they need ammunition to surround a quarterback with playmakers and everything that goes with that. I think it was just these were two great deals they couldn't pass up. I think that's more than anything else what it came down to.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you were saying that
They didn't
a
trade
lot of things.
Germaine. They didn't trade Germaine Johnson. They didn't. You know what I mean? They didn't trade Quincy. They didn't trade Brees. Hopefully, it means they could extend Brees. But
Agreed.
like to me, it wasn't just like let's just like do this complete dump of all our assets. It was we got these two great players here. We completely maximize their return. So it makes sense when you're 1-7. I think what's scary is they shouldn't be 1-7 in the first place, and here we are. What does it mean now that they have picks to replace these guys? It doesn't guarantee anything if you have the wrong people that are ultimately presiding over the quarterback selection and the day-to-day, game-to-game responsibilities that a head coach and a staff have.
Right. That's the question that I wanted to ask you then. So if you feel that way about Aaron Glenn, what if they fire Tanner Engstrand and Steve Wilkes at the end of the year and get two completely different guys?
I
How would
mean,
you feel then?
I don't know. I think it starts with the head coach. Like if the head coach is terrible, then I don't know. I mean,
So you have no faith in Aaron Glenn at all getting any better?
why should I have faith in him? Let me ask you. Like I hope he is great, but what have we seen so far that should give me faith that he is a good head coach? Right.
I mean, you got a very valid point. I can't really give you too many reasons.
Other than he
but-
played for the Jets. Like that seems to be the thing people love. Great.
Yeah,
Like he was an awesome
agreed.
Jet. No one could just. What does that mean for him being a good coach?
Agreed. And he
So what
has
does Aaron
been-
Glenn do well, Jordan? That's my thing. Like, what is the one thing we could point to that we think he does really well so far that he could grow into the role as a head coach? Because we know he's going to be here now.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very valid point. But, they're trying to build this thing for the future and not for the actual right now. Because
Yeah,
they're
but was that their plan at the beginning of the year? Absolutely not.
Yeah, but Jake, you got to understand
But before
that
they transition to what you're now saying, which is correct, it's all about the future now. When we watched the first half of the year and they were 1-7 and they were blown out in several games, most of their production offensively outside of week 1 in the Cincinnati game was in garbage time. What exactly can we say that he did well as a head coach in the first half?
Again, I can't really tell you too many
So
answers.
that's why I'm hesitant. You know what I mean? Like it's just blind faith. And like I know what bad coaching looks like. I'm a Jet fan. I think we're getting that again right now. That's my fear.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that point. I do agree. But I just think that, he realized like some of these guys like Sauce is not going to be a part of the long term. Like he was a corner himself, and this guy can't even, make a key pass breakup in a key moment or get a key interception in a key moment. That's why I feel like they moved on from him to get the value they got from him.
Well, I think they're paying him to be like, a game-changing player. And he's very good, but he's not that, and they're losing. So it's like if we could extract 2 first-round picks, I totally get why they traded him. And I have no issue with them doing that. I have no issue with them trading Quinnen Williams. The return's excellent. Muji did a great job extracting that. And Glenn should get credit for that too, because they work in a tandem, as we know. But like, what from an on-field standpoint, which is the most important here, have we seen from this coaching staff that should give any Jet fan confidence in the direction they're headed? I don't think we've seen that yet, which is why I think these next 9 games are important.
I agree, but they still don't have a lot of depth on the D line to get.
By choice, that's what concerns me.
That's true. That's true too. You see, that's why I don't want to say things because it's like they did do some of these things by choice, but at the end of the day, like we have no choice now but to have faith in him.
Right. Well, I don't have faith, actually. I have no faith. I just hope that they prove me wrong. You know what I mean? Like I'm a Jet fan who wants the Jets to win because I love them and I make my living spending 4 hours a day talking about them. Like I don't have to have faith in them. I'm just here hoping that they're good. Like I'm skeptical until they prove me otherwise. Like until I see good coaching and good and competent quarterback play. And you know what I mean? Like why would I think this is any different? This is we're in the 2020 phase all over again. This is where if we look at Jet timelines, we are now in 2020 starting over again, where they're going to get the quarterback and they're going to take another player with their second first-round pick, start to get their quote-unquote guys in here. Then they'll get year 2. That was the 2022 draft class. Mm-hmm. That will be representative of 2027 now. Like we're now starting over again. And it's like we're starting over, but we've already had major concerns about this coach. And I think that's concerning because at least when they did this in 2020, like we didn't know what Salah was yet. Like year one for him was the same year as Zach Wilson. We're now going to go into year 2 of Glenn, but year 1 of Mendoza, Simpson, or whoever the quarterback is next year.
I agree with that, but also the likelihood of them hitting on these picks is a lot higher compared to just having one.
Sure. I mean, yeah, your chances are increased, but like, okay, once upon a time they traded Darrell Revis and took D. Milner. Once upon a time, the Isaac 12 excited us because of all the possibilities, and they got one good player out of 12 draft selections. It was Quincy Enunwa, who unfortunately got hurt. So, like, yeah, the picks are nice, but it doesn't mean anything if your coach is terrible and you pick the wrong quarterback.
I understand that too, but you also got to go off of the draft that they just had with some of the players that they did pick, and they did pick some good players.
Sure.
At least 3 good ones, at least 3, and possibly a 4th with Malachi Moore, progressively getting better. Arian Smith is still up in the air, but he's the most questionable one. Oh yeah, I forgot about the linebacker Malangone.
Well, it would be Barron who they traded up for, but even still, like if Bembu's awesome, which I think he is. And Mason Taylor, it keeps doing what he's doing. Like their first draft is fine. I think it's a different animal though when you talk about a quarterback now, and like we'll see.
That is very true. The quarterback is the most important position, but look at I think the Jets are trying to copy these winning organizations, Jake, and trying to follow what some of these other organizations did, like the Texans and the Panthers and the Bears, where they had a bunch of picks. They picked high, they got the quarterback, and then you build a team around that. It's not like the team doesn't have any players at all right now, and it was only Sauce and Quinnen out there. Like we still have Germaine and Will and Garrett, to build a core.
What's concerning is you mentioned McDonald. He's been worse this year than he was last year. And Aaron Glenn said, it's coaching, man. It's coaching. And they hyped up their ability to evaluate and even coach up players who were here. They retained a lot of the guys that were here a year ago. And the whole premise was, with better coaching, this team would be improved. And they sold us a complete bill of goods that's just not true to this point. So, like, now I have to put, to quote you, blind faith that it's just going to get better magically. Like, I have severe doubts about that. I hope it does, but that's all we have. It's just hope. Like, there's no tangible evidence to give you confidence. You yourself couldn't point to one thing you think Aaron Glenn is doing a good job at. So, like, that kind of is my whole point here. It's like, it's nice that we have draft capital now. We're going to have a top pick. We have a chance at a quarterback, but like, we've been through this several times and it hasn't made a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an answer for that with the Glenn thing, because I do agree with you on Glenn. I don't think he's been that good, but at the end of the day, I do think the likelihood of them hitting on some of these picks next year is high. I do think that. And I think that
But let's be real. If they hit on all the picks besides quarterback, is it going to matter?
No, it's not.
Because they did that with the Zach Wilson era, right? Like Joe Douglas, for his faults, most of his first rounders, they worked out, right?
But we got to remember too that Robert Saleh was such an inept on the offensive side of the ball and only worked on defense. And then he fired the kid that went to Los Angeles, and then we hired freaking Aaron Rodgers' buddy, who sucked.
Yeah, 100. I mean, I think the biggest thing is Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and that's no one's fault but jet luck. I mean, it changed the whole timeline for everything. We'll never know what would have happened.
I agree. I think that season, if he never got hurt, we would have been way better. But that's in the past now. But yeah. Those are just my thoughts, man. I just wanted to give you a different perspective, kind of. But we could agree to disagree.
No, I mean, look, if you want to be hopeful, their first draft has been good, and Glenn certainly deserves credit for that, as does Muji, right? But I just think there's so many red flags with what we've seen from an on-field product. It's like they didn't win with Salah because we all said, well, it was a bad coach. But we all looked at the rosters the last couple of years and we're like, we got players and we didn't win. We blamed it on Rodgers and coaching. Well, Rodgers is still good, having success elsewhere because he's in a situation where he's being coached properly, right? And our coaching has been worse this year than it was at any point last year. And that's crazy.
I wouldn't say Rodgers is okay, man.
What do you mean he's okay? He's playing very well. You're really going to try and dispute that?
But he's doing the same thing he did with the Jets.
That's the point, though. That's the point. That's the point. He is. But it didn't work here because of everything else. So now we're going to draft a quarterback who's not going to be as good as Aaron Rodgers right away. And we're going to ask him to be our savior. He can't be the savior here if you have a horrible infrastructure around him that includes the coaching. That's my whole point.
But But one of the main things you're forgetting too about a quarterback is having a
By
good
the way,
offensive.
he has 17 touchdowns against 5 picks this year, 1,700 yards, and is completing 69% of his passes. And
Yeah,
his team
because
is
they're
5
all
and 3.
short passes to the tight end. He
Stop
doesn't
it.
throw the ball
Just
down the
Stop it.
field.
too. They only had 228 yards of offense this week. Their defense.
They do
They're
not throw the
winning.
ball down the field.
They're winning.
Yes, they're
Yeah, but
winning because it's a winning organization.
the game he threw the ball down the field, they lost because their Steelers
Because
defense
he
was
can't
terrible
do it
against the
no more.
Bengals. What do you mean? He threw a 70-yard Hail Mary, Jordan. Don't make this about Aaron Rodgers. Just acknowledge, stop with your Rodgers derangement syndrome. Acknowledge he's playing well. Acknowledge, to your point, I agree with you. He's playing similar to what he did for the last 10 games with the Jets last year once he started to really shake off the injury rust. But it wouldn't matter here because how bad our coaching has been. They would only have probably 2 wins right now with Aaron Rodgers. That's how bad Glenn and the staff have been. 2 or 3 wins, maybe. I disagree with people saying, "Oh, they had Rodgers and Devontae, they'd be 5 and 3 right now." I don't see that at all. I think we still would be bad, and all the blame would be levied at him. Justin Fields went 4 and 2 last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He can't play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he can't play.
That should tell you right there that it's the organization that
Right.
makes the players.
That's my point, Jordan. And I think right now we have major question marks to be kind about the people that are in charge of the organization.
I understand that.
You yourself said, I can't name one thing that Aaron Glenn is doing a good job at. Those are your words. Because, that's what I'm asking for. So you believe in Glenn. I'm asking you why you believe in Glenn. And you can't give me one thing that you believe in him for. And that's my issue here. It's it's nice to have these picks, but if our head coach is terrible, none of this matters.
I may not believe in Glenn as much as a head coach, but I believe in them to make the right picks and get the right players in here to build a solid
But didn't
team.
they do that with AVT, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson, Garrett Wilson, and they didn't sniff a playoff
and then they
spot.
went 7 and 10 and shit the bed after that. And
Right,
never.
But why did that happen? Because they screwed up quarterback and they screwed up head coach. Why did it not work with Sam Darnold? Because they screwed up coach and they screwed up the roster.
I agree. But we can't keep just.
But what's the common denominator?
It is a common denominator, but at the end of the day, we only have what we could go off of right now. And
I agree. And he's not getting fired, so I'm rooting for him to be a great coach. But you once again, if you can't tell me anything he's doing well, that's a concern of mine. That's why I hope he shows real improvement over these next 9 weeks.
All right, here's the one thing that I've seen done well from Aaron Glenn.
He dances well?
Yeah.
All right.
You took the answer right out of my mouth.
Hey, that's a win for me, baby. Ted says Jake wants the results before going through the process. Nah, I mean, they're 1 and 7, Ted. So we have results to discuss so far. They start winning games and improve. Guess what? My opinion changes with new information, as everyone's opinion should.
You could also look at it where if you kept Rodgers, even though he admitted this is going to be his last season, maybe we win a couple of these games, but now we don't sell at the deadline like we did yesterday, and now we don't build for the future because maybe we're trying to hang on to it a little too long. So, I mean, we won't know the return and what we become until, a year or two or even more with what these draft picks come out to be. But we put ourselves in a really good situation to build the team the right way and build it to sustain long term. And if we kept Rodgers, we definitely have some more wins, and maybe we're not sellers. So if you want to build, and I don't think we're Super Bowl contenders based off of what our defense was, even with Sauce and Quinnen, but we would have probably sold those guys off if that was the case, So you had to rip the Band-Aid off, and now.
Well, they had
now
to
they
rip
got
the
to hit on
Band-Aid
these
off
picks, right?
now.
You got to build it. You got to get
Because
the quarterback. You got to build it the right way. And if you
they're 1 and 7, Nick. That's why you had to
know.
rip the Band-Aid off. You're 1 and 7. But
Yeah.
they shouldn't be. This is not a 1 and 7 roster. This didn't need to be a full-on teardown, but because of the way it went, all of a sudden, this is the pivot, and let's hope they get it right.
Not a 1 and 7 roster, but it's 1 and 7 quarterback play. And that's the most important thing.
Right. But now this regime who picked the quarterback and said that he's never been coached properly are now in charge of picking the next quarterback and coaching him up when they failed miserably with Justin Fields. That doesn't concern you in the slightest?
I like Angstrom, so I'm going to put my faith in him.
I
call it blind faith, but
the people
it's
that
not like
love
they picked
Angstrom,
Fields
man.
like he was drafted. It's It was the best of what was available. Nobody saw Daniel Jones doing this. They saw Daniel Jones be a disaster in New York. You had Sam Darnold, who was probably never coming back to New York, and you had Justin Fields. Those were the three quarterbacks, and with Jameis Winston were the quarterbacks to choose from on the free agent market after you decided to move on. And you know, at the 7th pick, I believe Membo was the right thing. Build the offensive line first, so that when my whole thing was, when you get rid of Rodgers, build the line, get a temporary quarterback, get a bridge guy, and the Jets structured his contract to be starter in year 1, backup in year 2, and then when you bring the quarterback in, you're bringing him in behind an almost finished offensive line. You got Garrett locked up. You drafted the young tight end. You bring the young quarterback in with the opportunity to succeed. So I'm optimistic. I know I always am, but when you're looking at the structure and you're looking at the foundation on the offensive side of the ball, we got a good structure for a quarterback to come into. And
Everything
I'm
besides
gonna be hopeful about that, man.
Yeah, look, you should be, but if you have major concerns with the head coach, as you said you do, rightfully so, I think every Jet fan should. It's just I can't be as excited as others because we've been down this path before. We've done this exact same thing 5 years ago. We're back in 2020.
We did, but we didn't hit on the quarterback.
No,
And the quarterback didn't have the structure to succeed. So a good quarterback can mask. Look at McDermott. I think McDermott is a horrible coach, but Josh Allen wins games and hides everything. Their defense gives up a lot in some games, but Josh Allen is
he's a horrible coach. I mean, they win games every year.
They can't get over the hump in the AFC.
Yeah, but I mean, he made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor before Josh Allen was even there.
I just think that McDermott has deficiencies as a head coach. I really do.
Okay, they haven't been able to get by the Chiefs, but other than Burrow 1 year, no one has in the AFC.
You're loaded, man. And maybe that's the change that they need. It is just to get a coach who can get them over the hump. We saw Tampa Bay do it years ago when they moved on from Dungy. Everyone was furious because Dungy was like, oh, they're getting to that level every year. They bring in a better coach. They win the Super Bowl first year with Brad Johnson. So there's coaches who can make a team better, and then there's players who make a team better. I think Josh Allen makes that team better than they are a lot.
Well,
and
of course.
I think McDermott hurts them. In big moments, McDermott is very, very questionable.
Maybe, but I don't know. You win the division 5 years in a row.
Let them lose
Yeah, I'd take Sean McDermott in a second. And also McDermott gets credit because he made the bold move to fire his offensive coordinator in season, promote Joe Brady, and Josh Allen's never played better in the last 2 years since they did that. So coach gets credit for those moves too. Just like if Wilkes was really good, Glenn would get credit for that. And if Engstrand's really good, Glenn would get credit for that too. That's part of the responsibilities of being a head coach. Hey, if you're tuning in late, we have a signed Germaine Johnson jersey up for grabs today. Snowball is in the raffle for 5. 2 nice guys trying to make sense of all this, sending hugs. Keep the faith. Hey, hugs for all out there, baby.
I hug him every day. I hug him every day.
The hugs today at One Jets Drive, I'm being told, are electric. Hollywood says, not sure if you read my super chat. We did read it, Hollywood, and I gave you a bunch of coaches who I would have suggested, but I think it's a waste of time because Aaron Glenn's not getting fired. So he's not going anywhere now. You don't give the carte blanche to this regime to do what they did yesterday, only to then fire your coach. You wouldn't do that. If you were on the fence about Glenn, you would ride this year out and then let the new regime come in and decide what to do with the all-pro talent you traded away. Like, that's what you would do. So, unless there's like a locker room mutiny and, it's like such a toxic situation, it's like completely untenable, which it won't happen. Like, he's the head coach and we all have to root for him to do a good job.
Yeah. Who's going to lead that? Like, this is the thing I've been saying, that we have too many nice guys on the roster. Like, we don't have that a-hole. We don't have that guy like that who just will speak up and go against the grain with the organization. We have too many nice guys, and I don't see that happening. I don't think Simpson or, Quincy might, but Quincy's a really good guy. Like, maybe after training his brother, he's pissed off and takes it out. But, if for Quincy, you're going to be a free agent. You don't want to look like a malcontent when you're going to be in the free agency. You're going to toe the company line. You're going to say the right things. You're going to present yourself in a good manner off the field. But, the days of having that Warren Sapp type who doesn't care and calls players out on the team and will call out the organization and plays great. I just think you're not going to see that anymore because in the social media era, everybody's worried about their perception. Most people are.
Bash Chopper Sauce trades Jamal 2.0. Daniel Jones leaves and he's not leaving. Bash. You don't trade away your 2 firsts if you're not confident you're going to retain Daniel Jones. But the Cowboys could flop, sure. That'd be an epic draft. We might wait till 20. Can we stop with the wait till 2027? I cannot do this. They're not going to wait till 2027. They're getting their quarterback now. That's their plan.
Yeah.
They're going to have a top 3
You
pick.
go again.
Honestly, if you're that horrific again next year, you're picking number 1 overall, and Glenn's fired at that point. If he follows up 2-15 with 3-14 in 2026, and you need to take a new quarterback, 100%.
You do what the Cardinals did. You hire the coach and you let him draft his quarterback, and he brought in Murray when Kingsbury got hired. They got rid of Rosen.
There's precedent for it, no doubt. All right, more of your calls right now before we wrap. Last chance to enter our raffle. We got some heavy hitters still on the line, like this man, the great Kyle Clifton. Hit it.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Clifton. Hello, sir.
So my question to you is, what now? What are the
pain?
Pain. Yeah. Other than pain, I think I was talking to Nick last night, and I think we should be using our leverage over our veterans to extend them. And, it's a little bit different in each case. You look at Simpson, he might want to be here for personal reasons. You look at AVT, he might want the security because of his injury history. You look at Brees, he's looking for guaranteed money. And in all cases, and it might be kind of an empty threat with the linemen, we have the threat of the tag. I think that the threat of the tag is really more applicable to Brees. And maybe what they could do with him is get like a 2-year kind of bridge deal with a third void year, and maybe guarantee him $16 million on 19.5, and stash maybe $3 million in that third void year, and get all that guaranteed money out to him, and then when he's 27 years old, he'll get another bite at the apple, whether it's with us or with another team. That's one way that they could kind of look at it. But they have to actively be talking to these guys now, because they're never going to be able to spend that money in free agency, and they're never going to be able to trade for players on other guys' roster to the degree where they'll be spending it all, right? So it's just a matter of identifying who needs to be on the team on the go forward, what you're willing to pay, what you're comfortable with, and hopefully you're able to do it on your terms. But I don't think that the $95 million in cap room means a whole lot going into this offseason, unless someone like a Tyler Linderbaum shakes free, which is unlikely.
It's $117 million now. After moving Sauce and Quinnen's money, we now have $117 available. We're third in the NFL.
That underlines my point, I think, right? It's just a matter of I don't know, how many bad contracts are we going to load up on, and how many teams are in, the dire straits that they'll be able to offload players to us, with Harrison in the waning moments of the offseason. Those deals, those opportunistic deals are great. I don't know that they come along all the time if the teams across the league are being prudently managed. That's pretty much all I had.
Kyle, great call. Enjoy the Boy Green office there.
We're here to win now, and we're looking forward to it. So any questions?
When does the winning start? Will it be Sunday? Jets and the Browns. Oh, yeah. NY Jets girl says, I love how Q really feels about Rodgers comes out after. It didn't come out after. Remember, Quinnen Williams had that tweet, guess I'm headed for another rebuild. And then the other tweet was the thumbs down right after the news of Rodgers' release became public. So his real feelings were out, And Glenn, that's why I just played this. This was at the combine when Glenn was asked, hey, Quinnen says you guys are rebuilding. Is that true?
We're here to win now, and we're looking forward to it. So any questions?
They were trying to win now, but they didn't because they're really bad at their jobs, misevaluated the roster, made terrible personnel decisions, especially at quarterback, and it got them to 1-7. So they did the right thing making these trades, and Bougie gets a ton of credit for the value he got for them, but this wasn't part of the plan. Now we have to hope this new plan works, but their original plan failed tremendously. That's why I'm very uneasy about them being able to now oversee this full rebuild, and most notably pick the quarterback, because that's what it comes down to. Like, you could be a below average head coach, but to Nick's point, if you have a great quarterback, it makes up for so much.
Yeah. And the more I think about it, I feel bad for Quinnen because he left the team with a lot of expectations year after year, a horrible owner, and disappointing play, to get traded to a team with a lot of expectations year after year, a horrible owner, and disappointing quarterback play.
You know what's funny? He went to a worse defense. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. I feel bad for him. It's not like he got traded to the Colts or a team that has expectations. I've called Woody Jerry Jones Jr. a lot because he tries to make the stories about off the field and not the results on the field, just like Jerry Jones does. As long as you're talking about the Cowboys, that's good business in Dallas. So I feel bad for Quinnen because now he goes to the team that's more known for that nonsense than us. Maybe the only team in the NFL known for their off-the-field nonsense besides the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, when it comes down to it, like, their plan was not to be awful this year. It's happened, and this is the new pivot. And let's hope that they do a good job with plan number 2, because plan number 1 was miserable. There's no doubt. By the way, there's this comment from Jay, who is like just not the worst, but among the worst. He doesn't like my Glenn opinion. So he goes, when you have a 5-year contract, what do you expect? Did Gerard Mayo not have a 4 or 5-year contract too? Like, what's your point? Like, that's the going rate to get a coach. Like, that's how this works. You have to pay coaches to get them. It doesn't count against your cap. So you could pay whatever you want for said guys. Have you seen what college football coaches are now going for? That's what the NFL is competing with, right? If you want to get the top guys, that's the rate. Jimmy Sexton doesn't just represent NFL head coaches. He represents some of the top collegiate coaches too. So it's all connected. So that's the going rate. And Woody Johnson's a billionaire. So I'm not worried about that. If Aaron Glenn went 0-17, I don't think he'd be back. But now that they have a win and he sold Woody on this new plan, I think he could finish with 1 win and he's going to be back no matter what.
Maybe I'll just go Sunday, Jake, and make it 2 wins.
You want to go?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm a glutton, Jake. I'm a glutton for punishment.
The man loves pain. I have 2 tickets for you, Nick Shine. You and your son.
Awesome. Thank you.
Purple belt wife, she's the dark knight. She has a lazy husband who forgets to clean potatoes. Maybe someday she'll get some help, but for now she's just a purple belt wife. Purple belt wife, she might not be purple, but she can kick her husband's ass.
Quinnen gets the sack. Oh, Baker goes down.
R.I.P. to the Quinnen dance with your wife.
She is so sad. She is very, very upset. So it is what it is. I got a bone to pick with Jet fans. And listening to DNR this morning really made me upset because the only thing Colin Cowherd got right is that Jet fans are dopes. They're saying here, people were calling in saying that this is not a rebuild. I don't understand what part of this is not a rebuild. This is a full rebuild. Number one.
Well, it's a
Number
rebuild,
two,
but the one thing I'll say, Mike, I'll let you finish for sure. The one thing is, like, I think there's a perception that rebuilds take forever because that's how previous Jets regimes have tried to sell you on it because they suck and they're just like, whoa, look what we inherited. We need more time. And now this regime's trying to do that after they completely said the opposite the entire offseason. They're now trying to spin it to, well, we need time to get our guys. Like, it's a rebuild, but it doesn't need to take that long if they get the quarterback correct. The problem is you also need the coach to be correct. And I have major concerns about that. So it could be done quickly, but that requires them actually getting the right quarterback. Houston rebuilt their team in an offseason because of Stroud. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders did it in an offseason. So it could be done. You just got to get the right quarterback.
yeah, and Kevin O'Connell was able to do it too without the quarterback. Well, without knowing he had the quarterback. And then you had Sam Darnold. So, like, exactly, it's coaching. But the other thing is this perception of the draft picks, people need to understand the NFL average is that a first round pick is a bust 50% of the time, and second round picks are bust 68% of the time. What a bust means is by the last year of their rookie deal, they are not a starter. That's what constitutes a bust with the percentages. So people saying you only have to go 6 of 8, nobody drafts 6 of 8 out of your top 2 rounds. Not the Eagles don't do it. The Chiefs don't do it because the Chiefs have had first round picks that were bad. So anyone thinking that we're gonna go astronomically better than what the NFL average is, we're lucky to get the average. You mentioned before, what was it, Idzik? He had 14 picks and 2 of them were good, like whatever it was.
The
So
Isaac 12. Yep.
so like just think about what we gave up, and we have to overcome the odds, and we have to draft the right quarterback, and we have to hit on all the holes, because if we don't, it's going to be 5 more years of hell.
It's really
So
just quarterback,
as
man.
optimistic as everyone wants to be, and whatever, reality has to kick in for a second and look at the NFL averages and think about what happened here. I'm not even mad about Q going, but I'm very mad about Sauce going. We were told he was a foundational piece. We were told that, and he said it himself, that he wanted to be part of the turnaround. And honestly, I know someone that knows Sauce and had no idea that this was coming, and he wanted to stay. So you know what? Fuck it. Whatever. I hope I'm wrong. Because I used to be the most hopeful, happy. I was saying Super Bowl, everything. The Aaron Rodgers injury killed me, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And they need to rebuild me and the team and the fans. But some of us are just delusional. Some of us, oh yeah, we can go 6 of 8, no problem, no problem.
Let me ask you a question, Mike. I'm
Yeah.
going to exclude this year's draft because we don't know about this year's draft.
Correct.
Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, are those hits for the Eagles? Yes.
Yes.
Jalen Carter? Yes. Nolan Smith? No. So that's 3 or 4 right there. Jordan Davis? Yes.
But you're also talking about
Cam
the
Jurgens.
best
No,
GM
you
in the
said
NFL.
the Eagles. You said nobody does it. You said nobody does it, not the Chiefs or the Eagles. So I pulled up the Eagles draft. Jordan Davis and Cam Jurgens? Yes, both hits. Devontae Smith, Landon Dickinson? Yes, both hits. Jalen Reagor? No. Jalen Hurts? Yes.
Well, they're the best team in the league.
They've hit
though.
70 or 80% of their last 5 drafts in rounds 1 and 2. So it does get done. Just
I think what's scary is the Jets have
50 and 68 doesn't mean that there aren't teams that do better than that.
The
Now,
good
the
teams
goal
hit on their picks.
is to be one of those teams.
Yeah, but even the Chiefs drafted, I forgot the running back in the first round that wasn't any good.
Clyde
And
Edwards-Helaire.
but what I'm saying is, you can't expect to be Harry Roseman and have the 80%, because how many teams have that?
Not
You
many,
can't
but the goal is to
you
be
can't
one of those
expect it.
teams. And if you have the general manager who gets it right, that's when you become the winner. And that's why I chose the Eagles after you mentioned them, because I know they've been drafting well.
Not without the coach,
and I know
though.
they're bringing in guys who make impacts immediately. That's the goal, is to hit on these picks. You don't plan on failing. You don't make the trade to fail. You make the trade because you believe in your scouting, you believe in the draft that you had, and you believe you can go find other guys that fit what you want to do. That's the plan.
Well,
if the plan works, is to be determined. But the
Well,
plan
we have
is
Aaron
to go
Glenn.
draft and draft well.
We have Aaron Glenn, who watched Justin Fields for how many years and said, that's the guy that I want. We're going to have him evaluate the quarterback?
And the reason why they signed Fields too, according to Glenn, is he had such a difficult time game planning when he would face him with the Lions.
Maybe he has trouble game planning because he's just not a good coach.
But he
Maybe
has all the power.
reality here. That, I would love for us to be the upper echelon, but it's hard for me to even picture us being in the average.
Yeah,
I've seen too many times it be below.
Mike, we saw it a couple of years ago. They actually hit on all these draft picks besides Wilson. It didn't matter. They didn't sniff the playoffs because they missed on Wilson. Right. And head coach was part of it too. But I as crazy as it is, Salah's a better coach to this point than Glenn. So it's like we got to see a lot from Glenn in the second half here. Salah won 4 games with a horrible roster his first year. Glenn's not coming close to 4. Even without Quinnen and Sauce, this is still a better team right now than the 2021 Jets were.
And what I said was we have to hit on those picks and the quarterback. You can't just hit on those picks.
You got to hit on most of them.
And
100%.
not the quarterback.
You got to hit on most of them.
Yeah. You have to hit at least half. You have to go 4 of 8. You have to.
You could go 3 of 8 if you drafted a franchise quarterback. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I just hope we turn it around, man. I
think we all do, but you have every right to feel, because I feel like you. I have major doubts on their ability.
Major doubts.
Yeah, you should.
And it's a lot of what Glenn said. I can't take anything he says seriously anymore, because what he says doesn't matter. What he'll say 6 months from now is going to be different, because that's what it was 6 months ago. It was different than what it is today.
Well, they also told Quinnen.
I
heard this.
Being self-aware, like you tried, you wanted to win, it didn't work out. So what would we want them to do? You want the Jets to be buyers at the trade deadline and give
no, but they're saying now that they want to win and expect to win.
And say,
sold
hey, you know
everybody
what?
off. Just say, hey, it was rough. We didn't get what we wanted, and we're looking forward to building the players that we have. Not that you want to win now.
The
you
trades
want to win now after trading everybody? Come on, man.
The trades say we're not winning. We're going to tool for the future. The trades say that. The trades say, hey, we wanted to go in. We wanted to win. It didn't work out. We're going to trade these guys. We're going to build assets for the future, and we're going to build it our way. That's what the trades say.
Yeah, but what he's saying, what Muji is saying, is not that. And then you got people like fans saying, let's go on a run. Let's win 9 games in a row. Right behind Muji. We're going to go on a run. We're here to win now, baby. I'm not taking the delusion, dude. I'm not doing it.
It's not delusion. The reality is that they were self-aware. They realized they're not winning. You trade the assets that don't fit your vision for the future to get players in here that fit your vision. That's the reality of the situation.
Yeah,
whatever they
say,
listen, corporate people get in front of microphones, politicians do it, whatever. They speak what they think people want to hear.
Yeah, but
they
you don't have doubts,
sell
Nick.
winning. But the reality is when you make these trades, you know you're not winning.
Why did they make these trades in the first place? Because their first plan blew up in spectacular fashion. So they were so wrong about their evaluation of this roster, so wrong about their ability to take guys who were here and a part of all this losing and said, oh, it was all Salah and his staff's fault. Watch us work with them. And it's not even like it's the same. It's worse. Like, this team is worse. And there was a comment from this guy.
It's coaching, man. It's coaching. Will McDonald. It's coaching. Will McDonald looks worse than he's ever looked. He's invisible.
He also is
out
not
there.
playing with a lead in most of these games in the second half. The one
They
time
weren't
that he
last year
got
either.
a lead, he got a sack to close out the drive, right? He got the
Right.
sack when we finally had a lead in the fourth quarter, something that we thought we'd have more of. He answered the call and got to the quarterback. We've been down by multiple scores, and teams aren't throwing the ball late
Where
in the
was
game.
he
Like,
in Tampa
that's when you want Will
when he scored
McDonald
the
rushing the
touchdown?
pass. Hold on, Mike. I'm letting you talk. That's when you want Will McDonald when the game is late, the offensive linemen are tired, he's wearing them down, and he gets to the quarterback. The 2 games we've been in with leads, he had his 2 sacks against the Steelers, and he had a sack the other day. We got to play with leads more, so a pass rusher like Will McDonald, his speed can wear down the offensive lineman, and he can be effective late in the game. You can't do that when you're down by 20 points against Dallas. You can't do that when you're constantly down and behind. That's where Will McDonald can be effective.
The Tampa game. Where was Will McDonald? I know
Where
he
was
got
the
the
defense
touchdown
all
when he
year?
blocked the punt, but when it mattered, right? Stop rushing the passer, because he had many opportunities to rush the passer. Was he invisible against Tampa?
The whole pass rush was invisible that game. Yes.
Real quick, this guy Roy, watch on YouTube, because I can't respond to your comments on X. So you should call in. How many games did Salah win when we hit on the draft picks? He won 7 back-to-back years and had a top 3 defense. So yeah, Zach Wilson was horrific. We all understand the quarterback situation, but he went 2-1 with Trevor Siemian. And this is not me defending Salah that he's a good coach. It's just saying that, like, we actually did worse at head coach from Robert Salah. And so many of you, rightfully so, blamed the debacles of the last couple of years on coaching. And the big issue I have is we are worse now. Like, if this team fails to win at least 4 games, even without Sauce and Quinnen, how could you feel good about anything they're doing going forward if your coaching staff is this bad?
It all comes down to quarterback play. When you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a
Yeah,
chance.
but who's picking the quarterback?
We had
Aaron
that great
Glenn.
draft. We had that great draft, right?
Right.
With 22. And we haven't won a damn thing. We had
Right.
7 wins because we didn't have a quarterback.
But they're picking the quarterback now. The moves yesterday solidify that no matter how bad it is over the next 9 games, it doesn't matter. Aaron Glenn's picking his quarterback.
And they shouldn't rush. Like, if if they identify two guys and they can't trade up for it, don't just draft a quarterback to draft a quarterback. If you only believe in two guys and they're not there, then pick somebody else. Don't just pick someone else that's high rated if he's not on your board. If he's not there and you don't believe in him, then pick someone else. You have assets to go after them next year if that's the case. But if you can't trade up and if it's just not possible, don't force drafting, Trey Lance or something like this. Just don't do it.
You're trading.
Only do it if you
have
can.
These assets where if you got to go up, you're moving. If the Titans, you want the Titans to not win a game the rest of the year because the Titans will be sellers. You don't want the Saints there who are going to pick a quarterback.
No, you want the Jets to not win a game the rest of the year.
Well, if the Saints and the Dolphins are ahead of you, and
you are not getting beat for a trade. Nobody is offering more than the Jets. The Titans could be sellers. They should be. They can get an all-time haul. If we have to go from 4-1, 6-1, whatever the case may be, 2-1, we will have to pay to get our guy. The Jets are not getting passed up for a quarterback unless it's a team that's going to stick and pick.
And that's why I'm saying, like, New Orleans and the Dolphins are ahead of us. You only identify two guys, and they both take them. Then what? That's the point I'm making. If you only believe in whatever, don't just draft a guy to draft a guy. We have assets to go after it next year. It's not like we have to win next year because we're not going to.
Oh, they have the built-in excuse. They could go 4-13 next year.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's just what they did is smart for job stability. What it does for us is we now have to just pray that Aaron Glenn improves as a coach. Good call, Mike, because he's here. Let's do two more calls, then the raffle. Ladies and gentlemen, Black Gypsy is up next. Hello, Mr. Gypsy.
Shine again with his optimism. He's been optimistic for.
Why am I going to put all my time, money, effort, and energy into this and be negative about it, dude?
24 hours of just offensive optimism. So here's my thing. Like,
do we have a rumble here? Is there a rumble here?
Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages, welcome to the event of the year, the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the Asmaniac Rumble.
Shine over here, just optimistic. That just yay! I love that we got good trades. Amazing from Muji, amazing. But through 8 games, the guy that has 1 win is going to pick our future. That does not make me happy. That does not make me happy at all. Like,
I believe the scouting department, Muji, the offensive coaches are all going to collectively come to it.
Look,
I don't think it's just one guy picking the.
We can get some of the greatest
coach. There's going to be a group of people who are in on this decision.
Our defensive coach, that's won 1 game so far, is going to be in charge with his team that he built to pick our players. Right. Mm-hmm. This is the same coach that picked Fields and Cook as his quarterbacks, right? We both think Fields and Cook suck. So his first decision for the QBs that he picked has been horrible. Now we get to give him 8 more games of suckiness, which we're going to have because Wilkes still sucks. He still sucks. Angstrom is the only positive that we have to build
bubble, but 9 games
to pick our next quarterback after the 2 that he picked before were trash. Like, we have a right to be like, nah, son, you don't get to
free
pick.
Agent market and draft are totally different, though. Free agent market and who's available and the best of a bad bunch, because good quarterbacks normally don't become available. And the one that was never coming back to New York. And Daniel Jones was probably going to New York. You know, he went to Indy. But who did you have? You had Fields, Jones, Darnold, who wasn't an option for us, in my opinion, and Winston. So it's not like he chose Fields when guys like Burrow were available.
I don't have a problem with him picking those 2 guys. Here's my problem with you picking those 2 guys. Mm-hmm. Now, as a head coach, you pick a quarterback, right? You have to have a scheme for said quarterback to be able to play into. You have to have a plan. Wilkes, for how bad Wilkes is, Wilkes has a plan. He has an identity to that shitty defense. You know what he's going to do, all right? AG doesn't have any of that because AG doesn't call plays. So I don't trust a guy that doesn't call plays to then now be able to pick 2 QBs when he's not going to build a scheme for those QBs. So who we trust really is Angstrom to build a quarterback up, which he has not done. Fields doesn't look any better. Fields look worse than he's ever looked in his career. Now, we need to see Brady. We shouldn't even play Fields for the rest of the season. We should play Cook. We need to see what we have in Cook. if they're going to show me that they can build another quarterback,
9-0. Cook is not going to be your guy next year.
right, it doesn't matter at this point. We traded away like the season. The season is done. At 1-8, the season is done with our two best players gone. So now we have to see what our coach can do, because if you're going to put Fields out there with no game plan and still look horrible, like, you shouldn't get the coach. If you put Cook out there and we can see that Einstein can build a QB that's not really good, then the next time he gets to go and pick and they have a staff, then I can run with that. But as it is right now, they pick two bad QBs and he gets to pick the other quarterbacks for the next season.
Two QBs. They didn't pick. They settled for that.
Yeah, they still chose them. They could have settled for other people.
$400 million deal.
It could have been Tyrod starting and.
But seriously, hold on. They brought him in under the purpose of starter money year one, backup money year two. They knew, and I told everyone this all offseason, they're going all in for a quarterback in 2026. No matter what, they're going in for the quarterback in 2026. And they structured Fields for that purpose. They took a swing and a miss. They tried to catch lightning in a bottle. It didn't happen. So now they said, you know what? We're going to be sellers. We're going to build, and we're going to bring all of our types of guys in, and we're going to surround our quarterback of the future with everything he needs to succeed. That's why they took the tackle this year. That's why they drafted the tight end, so they could structure the future for our future quarterback.
Which is cool in thought process. But did you have a plan for the quarterback that you picked to run the season? Because what that says to me is that then they just pick Fields and said, Fields, do whatever you do. We don't actually have a game plan for you to actually win some games. So then Tankathon becomes a thing.
I disagree with that, because I think you would agree Fields has held the ball a lot more and not executed the game plan time and time again, right? Fields holds the ball a lot. We don't know what the game plan is week after week, because Fields doesn't read, react, and release on time like a very good quarterback. Now, do you agree with that?
And you still left him in the games and didn't put Tyrod in.
Game. They wanted to go to Taylor, and Taylor got hurt. And they were forced to go back to Fields. And they got a win when they did.
I'll give you an example. When they put Tyrod Taylor in the second half of that game for Fields, right?
Yeah. We still only got 3 points with Taylor at quarterback.
They came out throwing the ball the whole time with Tyrod when they were only down by a small amount, and we were running the ball good. There was no
plan.
Only
got 3 points that entire half. We only scored 6 points in that game.
There was no plan on offense. There was no plan on offense for Tyrod Taylor. Versus the next week when we played Cincinnati, there was a plan that they put in place where we're going to run the ball and pass the ball and get plays in. Like, there was no plan. It seemed like up until Cincinnati, no one came up with a plan. And against Cincinnati, it doesn't count because it's such a bad team. All I'm saying is we have the right to be like, yo, we're not going to be optimistic, because the guy that has one win and picked two shitty QBs this year is the guy that now gets to pick whoever QB is on the rest of our player under no scheme, no identity and no scheme. Like, we're giving him so much leeway when he hasn't proved anything at all. He proved zero as a head coach so far. Like, he picked a bad DC, he picked a bad quarterback, and he's won one game. Like, I mean, like, Shine, you can be honest and be optimistic at the same time. I guess which is what you're trying to do. But, like, we have a right to be annoyed, because now we're going into 3 years of suckiness.
Absolutely. I'm not trying to tell people how to feel. Of course fans are going to be upset. We haven't won in a very long time. But me personally, I'm not doing that. That's not me. That's not my style. Like I said, I'm not going to put my time, money, energy, and effort into something like I do with this team and be negative about it. If I wanted to be in something long-term and be negative, I'd still be married, Gypsy.
So you're going to
not. That's why I'm always smiling and happy.
So you're going to see positive or negative and still smile about it and trying to find positives in it? Because if he goes shitty,
it's a hobby. This is something I chose. I don't have to be a part of this. This is something I chose. My mindset in life is if I'm going to be a part of something, I'm going to put my best into it. I'm going to hope for the best. That's me.
If you're a part of something that's bad, you have to admit that it's bad and then find a way to logically step away from the bad. Because if you're being positive on something negative, you're enabling it. I don't want to enable
it. I'm going to find a way to enjoy my hobby. This is a hobby.
Sometimes your hobby sucks, bro.
They do suck. I admit that. But I'm going to keep hope alive for the future that one day it doesn't suck, because you are a fan for life.
Our future is in the guy that won one game, son. That's all I'm saying.
What a rumble. Shout out to Black Gypsy and Nick Shine. Well done. Now, before we get back to Nick Shine and our remaining calls, I think we all could use a laugh after what has been another intense couple of days to be a Jet fan. So enjoy a moment during yesterday's trade deadline reaction stream.
Let's get somebody else on here. Rash, not that freaking fat waste of time off the phone.
Whoa. Neil going up and in against Beastbreaker. Unbelievable. All right, home stretch here. Adam is too cool, and then the big fellow will close. And ladies and gentlemen, surprise, surprise, an intro for Adam.
Adam is cool, although kind of basic. He claims he's too cool, though often quite basic. He makes great jet points, looks a little basic. Adam is cool, too cool, but basic. Some would say generic.
Oh, you nailed it.
Shout out to Gator.
Gator, I am honored, and that is perfect for what I am. Awesome stuff. I think that, like, maybe just because we're not being read into the strategic plan here for Glenn, I put in the super chat, which was, in hindsight, do you wish we drafted Dart over Membu? Because that's kind of the only thing that would have saved the QB position this year. Would you say that?
I would be the first to tell you I didn't trust the Jets to take Dart at 7. I said if they traded back into round 1, like what the Giants did with Dart, I would have been fine with it. I think Membo's been a good pick, though, so I'm not going to criticize him for that at all.
Yes, that's tricky, right? So let's say Dart was like the only one that was really good because it wasn't a great quarterback class this year. So the thought is, if you're going to draft, do you put your eggs in the Dart basket for 2 years, or do you skip a year? And if you skip a year, then who's the free agent that you pick, and you pick what you think might be the biggest gamble. But in your first year, you're kind of allowed to make those kinds of risks unless you have
I think a big
really
part of
bad
the issue,
season.
Adam, I think it's the messaging. It's like
100%.
Like, don't tell me that you're going to be the team to coach up Justin Fields because he's never been coached properly and then be this bad. Like yes, we all understood it was a lottery ticket with Fields, but it's now giving the same head coach full power to pick the next quarterback when the way that he talked about Fields, it made you want to believe, okay, like this guy clearly knows what he's doing. Like, wow, like, okay, awesome. Like, love a guy with conviction. But when you're this wrong, that's what I think concerns a lot of my fellow Jet fans. It's like you said one thing, the total opposite has happened, and now you're asking us to buy in that you still know what you're doing, when on top of all that, not only is the quarterback bad, but all other areas of the team besides special teams have regressed, and you're 1-7. Like, so it's a tough sell, you know?
Totally. Definitely. I think, again, I think the second half of the year is going to be where it boils down to, do they get the message? Or the people that are unhappy out of the room now, and the people that actually want to try and win games. It's so funny. We keep trashing on the offense, but like, we actually made additions to the offense throughout all of this. And like, it would be such a funny Jet situation if, like, all of a sudden the offense is looking very competent, but the defense, of course, has 2 giant holes in it, and we end up being like Cincinnati, but we have a viable offense all of a sudden. But like, what could have been if we just had faith in keeping
We were horrific,
Quinnen?
though, a lot with both of those players. We sound like we're a top 5 D, and we just sold off our best 2 pieces. We've been bad on defense because they don't have all of their guys in yet.
And I think that's going to be the real rub. We're going to find out exactly how important they were in terms of their positional value. And I think about, like, QB is such an important position. I think edge is probably one of the most important positions, if not the most important position, when it's all said and done, that like actually can change games. Is the interior lineman someone outside of Aaron Donald, someone that can really change games? Can a corner, unless you're at a Revis level or a Satan level, change games? I think this is now the second gamble that they've been authorized to do. And I think it is frustrating as Jets fans because you want to see improvement. But now I think for the rest of the year, you don't really know what to expect. You don't even want to have standards. You don't even know what to think the growth trajectory is going to be. So now it's just buckle up, enjoy the ride, and see if anybody's surprises. And I'd like to see some surprises in the receiving room. I'd like to see Garrett hit his 1K. I think that's something we should all root for as a team. Garrett's back. Let's get him to 1,000 and let that be like the offensive goals for the rest of the year. And maybe let's see what happens with Brees. Maybe Brees can turn it around. Maybe he was just in the doldrums, because I'd like to keep Brees. I think Brees is a very good running back that still has a couple good years left in him. I think let's give him a fair market value and give him some financial security and for the next couple of years.
I agree, Adam. Good call. Hope you enjoy your new intro.
Thank you.
Adam is too cool. All right, quick hit on the super chats here. In the raffle is Ralphie with this one. He writes in, Jake, we actually have a GM who was a QB. I actually have more faith in him and Engstrand picking a quarterback versus Douglas and Salah. That's a fair point, Ralphie. I mean, look, I hope that experience that Muji has being a former college QB helps him here. There's no doubt. I mean, he was around Sean Payton when they went through the process that landed them Bo Nix, right? So, if you want to be hopeful, I think it's a good point. Spencer says, it is laughable to shit on Glenn's talent evaluation. Stevens, you guys shit on him for weeks. Brownlee, Williams, etc. Negative-ass fans. You're going to give him credit for Phillips as a talent evaluation? I mean, Phillips is a vested veteran. He's a good player. You want to give him credit for the Stevens signing. Yeah, it looks like he could play after he was awful to start the year. They need him to now be really good the rest of the way and going forward because you don't have Sauce there who's shadowing the number one receivers. They need AZ Thomas to play well. Spencer, I don't think you realize, like, if you're a Jet fan, you could be critical of the team that's 1-7, whose head coach said they're here to win now, and they've been one of the worst teams, if not the worst, in the league for most of the year. Like, a couple things could be true. You could point to some things that are a positive, like a Membu or Mason Taylor, and also acknowledge all the fears you have with, let's say, the defensive coordinator, the regression of some of our defensive players. Like, it doesn't need to be Glenn's great or Glenn's awful. What we try to do, at least on this show, is provide nuanced conversation. But I don't fault a guy like Black Gypsy or PBM, for example, who call in and are unhappy and negative and don't have faith. Like, how could you feel that way and say they're wrong? Like, it's not laughable to be critical of Aaron Glenn. It's laughable that you think there's no reason to have any sort of criticism of a head coach who's been horrific so far. So respectfully, stop. Or keep saying your nonsense, and I'll keep responding every time. But don't tell other Jet fans that it's laughable to be critical of the head coach. It's not. He's done a terrible job so far. Hopefully he improves because he's going nowhere. Adam with a super chat. We already spoke with him, but he was talking about the dart over Membu. No, look, if we could do it over, sure, but I have no issue with the thought process of taking Membu at 7. Eric says he could have chosen the draft to QB instead of picking the best of a bad bunch. He could have at some point. We'll say it's not like there were a ton of quarterbacks that went.
A ton of teams did not have Dart rated to go that high. That's why the Giants traded back into end of round 1. A lot of teams were passing. I like Dable. I like Dable's scheme. You see them doing it without Neighbors. Dart showing flashes. So it's a good marriage, the two of them. And
he's gonna get fired though. He's not a good head
coach. I know, and that's a guy that I would love to run the offense. I always look at that playoff game in Minnesota. And Daniel Jones had guys wide open time and time again. And
it doesn't concern you, though, that Daniel Jones leaves Brian Dable and now is playing the best ball of his career?
You're also going to the best offensive line with possibly the best running back or top 2 running back in football, right? Like,
I get it.
Quarterback
Steichen's
job
a good
really
coach, though,
easy.
man. I mean,
yeah.
Steichen almost made the playoffs a few years ago with Gardner Minshew. Like, they had the win-it-in game against the Texans. Like, they were right there when they lost Richardson for the year, his rookie season. Henny says, I don't care. I like the trades. The trades are fine. You got tremendous value. I agree. I think Muji should get credit for negotiating them for sure. Henny says, they gave Fields a 2-year deal. We all knew what that means. Before the season, we knew the plan was to take a QB in the draft. Nothing changed. I agree, but I think it comes down to the arrogance and the messaging of the coach, how wrong he was. And now it's like, yep, now they get to do it again with no consequence for being that wrong. All right, they better be right. Black Gypsy is gifted another membership. PBM is in the raffle for 2. Thank you, Mr. PBM. He writes in, thoughts on this? Use the assets for QB, receiver, safety, DT. Trade for Myles Garrett with the remaining. You're not going to get Garrett. What am I against doing that sort of thing? Not necessarily, but I think you're not going to make that type of win now move until you know if you have your coach and quarterback for the long haul. So I'd be surprised. Let's see. Sean Bennett writes in, we are abused and mistrusting everything now. Trauma kings, LOL. Having faith is hard for us. Some people have blind faith, and I love fans that can still be optimistic. I used to be one of those. This team has beaten me down too much the last 3 to 4 years, especially this year, that it's tough for me to just blindly be like, yeah, like, I'm so excited. Like, I got to see it, man. That's kind of where I'm at. One last call, and then it's the raffle. Ladies and gentlemen, the big fella.
He's home, his bell is on the bed. That's what feels good. On the road, his bell is on the bed. In a dirty hotel room. He calls the show, his bell is on the bed. He's just more comfortable. He got a beard, loves the jets, super chats. Where's a big fella, sleeps alone. There's no room on his bed. Where's a big fella?
Gentlemen, what's going on?
Buddy.
How you all doing?
Big fella. Hey, big fella, what do you think of Beast's Christmas tree?
I think you did a good job. I do. I think he did a good job. He has a talent, I guess, for it. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. Yeah, I hear about it all the time, so it looks great. But I wanted to talk about Muji. What is it? Three-legged Muji. That's what we're going to call him. Just like Bonesy said. I'm really happy with what he's done. And it gives me hope for the future. We weren't winning with Quinnen. We weren't winning with Sauce. And I just feel like he's done an excellent job as our GM. Now, what we need to do is hit on the quarterback, like you guys said. And I wanted Dart last year, and Dart is proven to be pretty good so far. But the quarterback that we get next is going into a good situation with our offense, with a number one receiver in Garrett, a young offensive line. If we extend Brees, we got a good running back. We have a young tight end. I feel like the quarterback that we draft is going to be in a better situation than Dart would have been if he would have came to us. And I feel like that is, that's something to look forward to. And like Ralphie took my thunder a little bit when I was going to say, I trust Muji picking the guy, not only because his past draft has been good, but also because he has experience as a quarterback. And like you said, Jake, with him being around the process of picking Bo Nix and everything, I really do feel like, I trust those guys. I trust those guys in, making that decision. And obviously Glenn has the final say, but Glenn is going to listen to all these people. Okay. Just like he calls Parcells and everybody else under the fucking sun. I feel like we could trust that. And I think like people are saying like, we're not gonna be good for 2 years and stuff like that. You've said in the past that turnarounds don't take a long time. And I agree.
If you get the coach and quarterback right, which
Yeah,
we have
exactly.
major concerns about the coach, and we have no idea who the quarterback is.
You're 100% right with that. But like Nick said, also, I feel like a good quarterback and a good team can sometimes help a below average coach attain higher results. That's just what I see with that.
You get a great quarterback, you'll win more games than you're supposed to. If you hit Mendoza, because Mendoza's my guy. If Mendoza comes here and Mendoza plays like I think he's going to be capable of playing at the next level, you're going to win games that you're not expected to early on. And you're going to raise the water level in the room. And you're going to get to a competent NFL offense. And that's the goal. And you can't, listen, as much as we love Sauce, it doesn't change the game at corner. So you take these pieces to get game changers on offense and get to a modern day offense. That's the goal. That's what you have to do. As much as you want to say defense, you got to be able to score points to beat these teams in the NFL and then have an average defense. That's what the great teams do. And Chiefs have turned that around, right? The Chiefs have put so many investments in on defense where now their offense, but they still have the most clutch quarterback in the NFL making plays when they need to make plays. They're not scoring 45 points a game anymore like they were years ago. They've changed and said, you know what? We have a defense. We have a time of possession offense now, and we have a quarterback who can get us a scoring drive whenever we need it. Mahomes isn't leading the lead in touchdown passes. He had 24 last year. Rodgers threw more than him, but they win. So every team has a different blueprint on what success will be. Right now, we need to get the quarterback. We need to surround him with the good pieces, and we need to and hope that it works out.
And our foundation pieces, Sauce was viewed as our foundation piece. I get it, but like you said, he didn't change the game with changing the field with interceptions or anything or getting turnovers. Our two foundation pieces, number one is Garrett, obviously. Number two is JJ, because JJ, when he's on defense, the whole defense plays better, and that dude would die on the field for the team, and that is the type of guy that you want. Okay, those type of guys, they don't come around very often, and I was pissed that they were saying, "Oh, we'll take a second-round pick for him." I really don't think that's true. I think
they got a second-round pick and they turned it down, so they wanted more than just a second-round pick.
Yeah, he's worth more than that. Just like I feel Brees would be worth more than a 4. Yeah, he's a free agent at the end of the year or something like that. but I would like to extend Brees because if we're bringing in a quarterback, a rookie quarterback, or even a veteran quarterback, we need other weapons. We need a run game for the pass game, just like we need a pass game for the run game.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like a 4th-round pick for a guy who has that much talent, that's not equal value in my opinion. And I don't know. Like I love how Muji's been doing. I love how Muji's been doing this this season. The previous off season, I didn't like it. They were doing cookie cutter stuff. They were picking bargain basement players and everything. They got two 2nd-round wide receivers to now go into our wide receiver room. Okay, we got this guy Maisie Smith. He's underperformed in Dallas. Okay. But you know who else underperformed? Brandon Stevens in Baltimore. And they were saying the same crap about him, saying, oh, he's terrible and stuff like that. And now Brandon Stevens has turned it around. And I was shitting on Brandon Stevens earlier this year.
Yeah.
But he's turned it around. So we just have to see how that plays out. But with these amount of draft picks coming in, and, we still have young players on the team, I look forward to the future. I really do. I don't think we're going to be terrible next year. I really don't. This year, I think we're winning on Sunday, by the way. But this year,
they could upon the Browns. They suck.
Yeah, that's true. They have a good defense, but they do suck. You're right.
They score 15 points a game. Like the Jets could accidentally win an ugly, 13-10 game.
Right? Yeah. Now I'm rooting for wins. But I really. I look forward to the future with this team. I do. And Nick, you had a prediction for Sauce for an interception. I'm going to counter that. AZ Thomas is getting our first interception this year, bro, on Sunday.
That would be a great parlay, right? Sauce to get a pick. And the Cowboys have a bye this week. Quinnen gets another week off. It would have been great for Quinnen sack, Sauce interception as a parlay to cash for Jets.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. But no, I'm saying it's got to happen on Sunday. AZ Thomas interception. And that's all I got, man. You guys do a great job, great show, and I look forward to Wednesdays with you guys. So keep it up, man.
Big fella, you're the man, ladies and gentlemen. The big fella.
Let's get somebody else on here. Rash, not freaking fat waste of time off the phone.
Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the raffle time, but Bonesy called in. Bonesy, I have to get to the raffle here, but I didn't want to shortchange you, so I'll let you stick around. You can hang out as I spin the Wheel of Champions. That sound good?
That sounds perfect.
All right, here we go.
It's time to announce the winners of the weekly Asmaniac raffle. Let's spin the Jake Asman Show Wheel of Champions and find out which Asmaniac is winning an epic prize.
Ladies and gentlemen, special guest Mr. Bonesy joining us to spin the wheel today. This is the weekly raffle, so we got 3 prizes to raffle away. Nick Mangold signed football, Wayne Corbett signed football, and a Justin Fields signed jersey. After that, we will get to all of the people who entered for the Germaine Johnson jersey. Now, in the raffle right now are everyone who entered for that, but then there'll be a separate raffle for just the people who are in for the JJ jerseys. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, don't worry about it. I'm giving people the best chance to win signed Jets items. So we got 4 prizes, but we're doing the weekly ones first, which means let's start with the Nick Mangold jersey. All right, Nick Mangold football, excuse me. So ladies and gentlemen, your winner of a signed Nick Mangold football is...
I'll go with Gypsy. Yes, Gypsy.
Doug McGowan. Shout out to Doug McGowan. He is our first winner. Doug, congratulations. Please email me, asmanjake@gmail.com, your information, where to send it to, and I'll get it shipped out for you this week. All right. You can only win 1 prize per raffle, so we'll remove Doug's entries. Reshuffle the names. Prize 2, a Wayne Corbett football, and your winner is... Janice Jet. You know what's great? Janice told me that Wayne Corbett is her favorite player. So Janice Jet, you're getting yourself a signed football by your favorite Jet. Love it. All right, we got one more prize in the weekly series here. It is a signed jersey by Justin Fields. Ladies and gentlemen, your final weekly winner is Anthony Logerato. I'm sure he's pumped to win the Fields jersey. He was one of the bigger bring back Aaron Rodgers people out there. Aaron Glenn, I think, is speaking, so I will react to that this afternoon. All right, one more prize, folks. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take everyone who entered for the Germaine jersey during the show today, and it's a separate raffle for just those people. So if you don't win the Germaine jersey, you are automatically entered into next week's raffle, so you got a little 3-for-1 special. So here are the names from just today. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner of a signed Germaine Johnson jersey is Austrian Jet Fan International Shipping. Here we come. Congratulations to AJF. We have two of them. We have Australian Jet Fan and Austrian Jet Fan. Those are your 4 winners now. So congrats to everyone. Hit the Jet chant for them. Mr. Bonesy, final thoughts from you as we enjoyed your company during the spinning of the Wheel of Champions.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of that. It was a pleasure.
Champions, no champions.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing. Glenn could literally go 1 for 8 with these draft picks as long as he gets our franchise quarterback. We have seen over, like, my guy Joey Three Legs, and shout out to Big Fella for Muji Three Legs. that's going to be the new name, I guess. If you don't hit on the quarterback, this is all a waste of time. And as much as we don't believe in Glenn right now and him as a coach, maybe he just needs some time to develop. And if he hit on a quarterback, we would gladly give him that time. So barring everything else, if we could just pinpoint a top 15 quarterback in the NFL who could keep us in games and in the hunt and making playoff runs, he will be so forgiven. So with all the compensation, with all the everything bad going, we know that he's going to be here next year. And if he hits on the quarterback, that's what we're here for, man.
Let us pray. Let us pray. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why he's the champ. Mr. Bonesy checking in.
I'll call you on the next show.
The only thing better than all them shoes is Joey D, cause he totally rules. Jake, my brother, I'm high as a kite. I love everybody. Damn, this show is crazy.
All right, that does it for us. He's Nick Shine. My name is Jake Asman. We will react to Glenn's comments on the trades this afternoon. Jeff Parles is my scheduled guest around the 4:30-ish projected start time. So check back on the channel for that. We'll talk more Jets, take more of your calls. Nick, as always, appreciate you hopping on for the marathon show the day after. One of the craziest days in recent Jet history.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I just dropped my link in. I'm going to go refill the coffee cup. I'll go live right now for about an hour before I got to head to work. So, Jets fans, come on over. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Jake, thank you as always for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Nick Shine, and I leave you all with this. Get set for mock draft season, baby.
Oh, hi. Jake wants me to ask you to click on the like button.
That's right, Lane. And if they don't subscribe to the Jake Asman Show, this team may never win another game. Let's go, Jets.